Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday, Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a good New Year's Eve and you're ready for 2025. I'm live here on Friday, January 3rd, 2025. We're doing live readings on the channel. So if you guys are watching this on Saturday or Sunday, we're no longer live, but you can catch us every Friday around 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That's going to be 4 p.m. on the Pacific Coast and 7 p.m. Eastern. And I hope you guys are well. So I'm excited to chat with you. We've got lots of people in the chat already waiting. And if this is your first time getting a reading, you can jump in the queue. You can get a reading by scanning the QR code somewhere up here. I'm not sure which side it's on, but you can scan the QR code and that will take you to my PayPal. We're doing 1 card readings for $20 and we're doing 3 card readings for $40. Please put any info in regards to your question in the memo box. Just want to say a big thank you to all of our members on the channel. We have people who support me as a full-time content creator. If you haven't seen my videos, I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, implementing tarot, astrology, the Sabian symbols, and trying to make sense of what's going on in the cosmos. If you want to learn more about me, if you want to book a private reading, if you would like to learn how to read tarot or astrology, or pick up an astro calendar, click the links in the description below and head over to beyondtheveiltarot.com. Now you guys can join my memberships monthly. Level 3 is going to come with a shout out as well as you get a reading once a month. All you got to do is be here during the live, claim your reading, and you are going to be first. So we take our level 3 people first, and then we go on to the rest of the queue. So we are going to do the readings in the order that we receive them. I usually do a readout of everybody who I have in the queue before we get started. So if you hear your name, that means that I've got you. And I'll call a couple names at a time so you know that your reading is coming up next and you can see when yours is coming. But I do want to say thank you to all the members, especially level 2 and level 3. You guys are the best. You make it possible for me to keep creating content. We are over 700 videos now. We've been here for a couple years and we're going strong. So big thank you to Vanessa Marie, Jess, Alex, My Life is Jordan, Lisa MC, Coco, Reiki Drea, Paula, Shay, Jessica Martinez, Salty Mama, Let Your Light Shine, Renee, Smoky Brown Eyes, Dorothy, Claire, Cece, Laverne, Darlene, Christine, Erica, Grow Up Together, Victoria, Thunder Spooks, Deanna, Enchanted Crossroads, Sharon Grant, Emma, Taliba, and Susan Wexler. You guys are the best. Thank you guys so much. And I know we've got lots of people in the chat, so I'm going to say hello to everybody and see who we've got here. What's up, CZ? Hey, Christine. Hey, Deanna. Hey, Katie. Hey, Leslie. David's in the chat. Lachelle's here. What's up, Sandy? All right, so here's who I've got for, let me just update this really quick. Here's who I've got for my level 3 readings. I've got CZ and Christine. So Christine, if you didn't catch it on December, we can only give you 1 per month. So if you prefer astrology, let me know. We were supposed to be doing astrology this week, but we kind of had to switch up our schedule a little bit. We tried to do the astrology around the moons. And so because I missed one last month, we're going to do astrology next week around the time of the full moon that's going to be in Cancer. So let me know if you prefer this week or next week, but I do have CZ and Christine. As for everybody else who got into the queue, I have Danielle, Rachel, Sage Moon, Elaine, Vanessa, Omar, Archive, Astrology, and Carly. So if you hear your name, that means I have you. We'll leave the QR code up for a little bit and we'll leave the queue open. So that way there's some time if you guys want to get in and you want to get a reading, or you can just hang out in the chat. If this is your first time here, say hello, let us know where you're tuning in from, and do me a favor, give me a thumbs up on this video if you can see me. You can share out the stream to other people who might like to get a reading, or you guys can click that bell button below. So subscribe to the channel, make sure that you are clicking the bell so that way you're alerted as to when we have new videos that are out. Did mine go through? It's for Victoria. Well, maybe it just didn't get updated yet, but don't worry, I'll update that list if you sent something through. Yes, and then after Carly, I have Victoria, Sandra, and Kimberly. All right, so that's everybody. I also missed December. No, we're not doing, we can't, unfortunately, if we do that, we're going to be giving so many readings away in the same month. So we are not able to give you guys the reading if you miss it, but you guys can always in advance go into the links when you see the post, even if you're not going to be there. Just leave a comment on the community tab, or you can leave a comment directly on the video if you know that you want to get a reading in advance, or you can always just shoot me an email. You can email me at candace@beyondtheveiltarot.com, and I'll make sure that you guys get your monthly readings. All right, so we're gonna start with CZ, and then Christine, let me know if you wanna bounce back next week. All right, so we're gonna take CZ, and then after that, we'll have Christine or Danielle and Rachel. You guys are gonna be the next ones up. All right, and then it looks like you sent it. I'll let you guys know. I'll do an update in just a few readings, and then I'll go back over the list. CJ says, hey Candace, am I being delulu and settling for less in love, or am I being patient and waiting because my intuition is very strong right now? And I keep going back and forth on this. Pisces Sun, Sag Rising, Scorpio Moon, Aries, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So being patient is not easy for those placements, but let's take a look. I will say for somebody who's got a Sagittarius rising, you know, you've been kind of landlocked with Saturn and Neptune in a square to each other. Excuse me, Saturn and Jupiter in a square to each other throughout this year. So there's been this sense of like, am I being delusional, right? Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, or, you know, is something good coming? The Jupiter square in your 7th. So let's take a look. Let's see what the cards say for CZ in regards to being patient. Is it going to pay off? That is the question. So we've got the Judgment card, we've got the Death card, we've got the 10 of Wands. All right, so essentially, I do kind of feel like, you know, 2 major cards coming up in this is pretty significant. It does mean that there's some big energies that are going to be changing for you. It does seem to kind of indicate that more so recently in the past with the Judgment card, there's been like this decision that's like, okay, enough is enough. You know, I'm making a decision to kind of put an end to cycles. The Death card, I am deciding that I am proceeding forward. I'm making a definitive choice to choose something new, to go in a different direction. I also kind of feel like the Judgment card is kind of talking about a moment where you're being tested and like seeing if you're actually going to change these patterns and if you're going to move on from the past, because both the Death card and the 10 of Wands is about completing cycles. Obviously difficult ones. I mean, I think like the Death card and the Judgment is kind of saying like there is no choice, like you have to move forward, or that you have to be kind of proceeding in a different direction, or kind of waiting for something new to come. So I could see this as like a bit of like a trust fall with the universe. Maybe it means that you're learning to trust your intuition more and not just kind of leap into things. And you realize that with the Judgment card coming up, that actions have consequences, and this can be in a good way. Like it means that if you actually make the conscious decision to go, all right, I'm choosing a different relationship pattern, I'm choosing to respond differently, I'm not just going to keep repeating these cycles, then I'm gonna be rewarded in a good way. So I think you're making a good choice. I do feel like whether you realize it or not, you know, it can kind of indicate that any potential partners or options or choices, especially people from the past who might be hanging around, are not, how do I put this? Like they're not ideal partners. Like these are not people who you're probably going to be proceeding forward with. Now, when you say, am I delusional thinking that something good is coming, or am I crazy? No, I don't think you're crazy. I think you're still wrapping up some things or healing some things. You know, the Death card in the current position is saying that, you know, inevitably, whatever is coming is new, but it's about completing the cycles of where you've been. The Death card can also talk about like a difficult change that's being made. You know, I do see it in the current position as something that you're embracing. So maybe this means that rather than going and looking for someone or seeking something, you're going, no, I'm going to wait, even if it's going to be the death of me. And maybe it's like testing your patience. I'll tell you that like personally, when I think about like a Sagittarius rising chart, I think about the spring when there's going to be eclipses that are coming in that are going to be happening in Aries. So that'll be connected to your 5th house of romance. You'll see retrogrades that are going to go through that part of your chart too. And I'm of the frame of mind with like the Venus retrograde that even though it will come into conjunction with Saturn, so it can really test the boundaries in relationships, if you're meant to find something, if you're meant to connect with someone, like they will come in, especially when you have Venus retrograde in the 5th house. So I feel like this is a positive change. Maybe you're learning not to kind of impulsively, you know, let yourself run into relationships or go chasing someone. I think you're learning to be more patient and you're waiting for the right time. I also think that the 10 of Wands is saying that there can be like a sense of you like questioning or doubting things. I mean, obviously, if you're asking the question, am I delusional? You might be doubting whether or not you're going about this the right way when it comes to seeking partnerships and relationships. And the 10 of Wands means you may feel exhausted. Maybe you're tired of waiting. There can be the sense of being like, I really want, you know, some kind of partner, relationship, companionship, you know, so I don't have to kind of go at life by myself on my own. But I don't think you're going to have to do that. I also feel like watching Mercury go retrograde with Venus in March and April is activating your 7th house Lord. So it means that it could be bringing somebody in that you could do life with. It's going to retrograde into your 4th. You could live with, you could relocate for, they could move closer to you. It could be somebody who also has the same kind of goals when it comes to long-term relationships and like living together. I also have this feeling with the 10 of Wands that there may be some connection to like movement. And I don't know if that means that you move, somebody moves, they're closer to you, you're waiting for somebody to kind of be ready to kind of like come in and you're like, okay, I'm sick of waiting around. Like, when are they going to get here? You may want to be looking for signs that may have some kind of connection or correlation to Scorpio. Maybe it could be there's something going on around the Scorpio full moon. Look for increments of 10 as well. So it could be like over the next 10 weeks. It could be the 10th day of the month. That 10 of Wands is saying right when you get to the end of being like, I'm sick of waiting, something completes and somebody shows up. And we know that right after this card, we see the Page of Wands. So that can be saying like a relationship that starts very quickly. Somebody comes in where there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of excitement in regards to the connection that you guys have together. And if I were you, I would stay on the path that you're on right now and not be seeking. You know, so much of like the Saturn, Neptune in your 4th house is about creating a foundation for yourself. It can feel kind of lonely. It can feel isolating, but ultimately you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I build this whole foundation for my life? Where do I want to live? How do I want to feel? How can I situate myself emotionally and also in my home? So I'm creating that base from which we can kind of grow into the 5th house of romance, the 6th house of routine, the 7th house of relationships. And it'll probably get really good, especially around like May, June, when you're out of the eclipses and the retrogrades and you're seeing Jupiter and Mercury come into conjunction in the late degrees of the sign of Gemini. That's likely going to be a huge turning point where there's a decision that's made about a relationship. So in your case, I think good things are going to come to those who wait, but you're having to kind of trust the process in approaching relationships in a different way. And for me, I think it's a little bit of waiting and seeing, not really going out and seeking and trying to find that person and getting situated in your own life and really committing to some of these changes and how you're approaching relationships. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Let me know. I can't wait to see what happens in the spring because that's going to be a really big turning point for Sagittarius risings. I'll give you guys an update in the list in just a second. We'll do a couple readings and then we will continue on. It's okay. We're going to be doing astrology next week, so let me know if you want tarot or astro. What's up, Robbie? Do we have to put our questions here too? Just in the PayPal notes is fine. You can send it there, so it's going to me. Although usually I will read them out loud so people know what I'm talking about. So Christine, just let me know. I'll catch you next week if you want to cash in on that. So I have Danielle and Rachel, and then we've got Sage Moon. Danielle says, hi Candace, 3 cards please. My past flame is looking at my social media from time to time, but hasn't reached out. Will he return and does he miss me? So we've got Danielle, the Taurus, inquiring about whether or not the Libra is going to come back around, if there is going to be some kind of reunion, because they're peeking at her social media. I feel like I'm going to start hearing a lot of this stuff as of the end of this month. I feel like the next 4 months is going to be this question over and over and over because Venus is going into shadow. So that can also be a really big deal if you're a Taurus, because there's going to be some questions of, with Venus retrograde in the sign that's 12th house to your sun, why are they peeking? What do they want? What's going on? in this order. All right, so the cards that we have are the Six of Pentacles, the Seven of Wands, the Two of Cups. Well, if somebody asked me about a reunion, are we going to reconnect? Am I going to see them? What do they want? Is there relationship potential? Obviously, the Two of Cups coming up can be a good indication of that. So just kind of working backwards, it's definitely the potential that's coming up in the reading. Six of Pentacles is an interesting card. This is a give and take. I kind of see this as like a cat and mouse game. I see this as like maybe baiting you a little bit. You know, with the Six of Pentacles, you see somebody that's helping somebody and they're receiving something in exchange. And it's about kind of, you know, in a work sense or in a financial sense, working together. Are we both kind of working towards a common goal? So if it's a situation where you're getting a response from him, or he's looking at your stuff, or he's going through your socials, it's like he's kind of trying to pique your interest, trying to see if you're going to pique back. So be mindful that that's kind of what's going on right now. But this can also be an indication that like there's no ill will, there's no problems, there's no grudges, like whatever issues you guys have, it's like water under the bridge, at least as far as he's concerned. And it's innocent. Six of Pentacles is like, I just kind of want to see what they got going on, what they're doing, what they're working on, what their life is like. There can be this curiosity of where you're at now and maybe what's kind of changed in regards to your life since the last time that you guys have connected. So I don't see that as like a negative thing. What's funny is the Seven of Wands comes up. So it's weird because I wonder if this created like a very like visceral reaction within you. Like this is the card that comes up when somebody feels like they need to kind of defend themselves, their property, their territory, their space, their energy. You know, it's this kind of like, whoa, hold on a second, like get back vibes. Sometimes this card can come up when there have been things put in place that kept your information private. Like for example, so if your socials were private for a period of time and then it went public and then he noticed that it was public, he's like, oh, I'm gonna go look. Or if it's a situation where somebody was blocked for a while and then they're unblocked and then suddenly they can go and look. I do feel like the Seven of Wands for you is kind of indicating that you're being very protective of your space, or you're kind of like, hold on, I'm not so sure how much he wants to have, I want him to have access to, or what does he want? What is he looking at? Like, why did he come back? Like there's a lot of like questions and like wanting to kind of feel like, okay, I want to react or I want to do something. And I would say, don't do anything. You really, I would say, if your goal here is to hear from him and reconnect to him, blocking him, going private, anything like that, and doing anything that's like a quick impulse response is not going to go well. That's going to send mixed messages and mixed feelings. So if you're wanting to connect, which look, we have another mutual card. We have two people engaging with each other, and in the center is this whole defensive type of energy. And I don't really feel like it's him. I feel like it's him maybe a little cautious to outwardly reach out and text you, call you, send you a message. Like something about the dynamic between the two of you, he has some concerns or some fears or some hesitations with reaching out because he may not know whether or not you're going to be receptive. He may not also be ready to connect. Sometimes the Seven of Wands comes up where it's like, hey, I'm just sussing out the situation. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, reconnect right now, and we'll put up some barriers. And that's another reason why I would say messaging him or connecting to him is not a good idea, because you may not necessarily get a response. You might get something where he's going to be a little slow to respond, and he's not really quite ready yet. However, the Two of Cups is a I'm open, welcoming, ready type of card. This is a card that I get where somebody says to me, are they going to call me? Are they going to message me? Are we going to go on a date? Are we going to reconnect? Yes. The Two of Cups is basically saying your opportunity is coming. I would let him keep looking at stuff. I wouldn't play into it personally. I feel like that Seven of Wands is definitely about standing your ground and like not participating or partaking in peeking back or doing the same thing he's doing. Don't mirror that behavior. Wait to receive the offer. Two of Cups is patient. It's basically saying when both parties are ready, when we're both in the right frame of mind, time, space, we can connect in a way and then be able to, you know, see each other or kind of evaluate whether or not there's still relationship potential there. Two of Cups is relationship potential. It's not necessarily a card that's like, oh, I miss that person, but it is an interest in connecting and seeing like, okay, are we at a better space or time in our lives where there could be a relationship? I would wait. I do think that what's interesting though is that the Six of Pentacles is a card that's talking about productivity, working together, getting along, a really great dynamic. I think he's going at this in a way that's really, like I said, genuinely very innocent. And I don't think he has any ill intentions. I don't think he's intentionally trying to play games or playing hard to get, but I do think he is trying to get some kind of a response out of you. So don't give that response, hold back, stand your ground, be patient, wait for the invitation. And with that Two of Cups, if he sends you a friend request, if he sends you a message, if he likes a photo, unless he outwardly makes contact, just continue, keep doing what you're doing. And I think he's gonna get a little confused about how to approach you because he probably knows that you can see what he's looking at, I'm gonna assume. And I don't think it was just like a one-off thing. Usually when you see the Six of Coins coming up, it's like somebody who is going to continue to try to work with you, connect with you in some way. So let it happen a couple times, wait to hear from him, and then you can take it from there. But if I were you, I would play a little bit hard to get and really make him outwardly make the connection and try to talk to you, because he clearly has some concerns and some fear as to whether or not you're going to be open to that. And he needs to be willing to kind of get over those fears if he really genuinely wants to be with you in the future. Okay. Good luck with that one. I'm going to assume that that's the one that's been kind of on your mind for some time. All right, so we've got Rachel, Sage, Moon, and Elaine. What's up, Rachel? Rachel says, will I make progress on my job search? I'm looking for something either within my field or something new. It's been a main theme over the past year, and I feel like I've just been trying to make it through. I want to feel more hopeful, but it has been challenging. Rachel, aren't you a Virgo rising? From what I remember, I think you got Jupiter going through your 10th. So if that's the case, you're definitely going to see some significant progress that's going to be coming this year once we start to see Jupiter and Saturn separate. What's up, Paula? I will put you on my list. I'll take you next. All right, so what can we tell Rachel in regards to her job search? She's been a little... Oh, you're Libra rising. Okay, so the Mars retrograde. You're welcome, Paula. Let's take a look. So she's a little flustered, trying to figure out, is she going to make progress? So the card that I get for you is the Hanged Man. And then the bottom card is the Six of Swords. Move this over a little bit so you can see. Hangman and the Six of Swords. So for me, I mean... Let me flip this. Hello, the Hangman is upside down, as it should be. To me, you know, this is a card that's like caught in suspension, right? So it's like, okay, I want to make a move. I'm not sure which direction to go at. What do I do? One thing I will tell you is that knowing that you're a Libra rising, you're going to see as soon as Venus gets into your 6th house, that's going to bring you a lot more opportunity when it comes to your career. So that's going to be happening, you know, very soon. We're going to see Venus literally, I think, in like the next week or so. That is going to go into Pisces. So when it goes into your 6th house, that is Pisces energy. That is the Hangman. It's waiting and seeing. It can also be a time for like a Libra rising where you're rewarded for being patient and for waiting. You're rewarded also in finding work that feels more fulfilling. That can be something that can genuinely help people. It can help you get back on track with work that feels also like it's going to bring you more money. The other side of Venus in the 6th could also be that, you know, you're having to kind of come to terms with where you've been working is no longer working for you. So if you're currently employed, you'll see through the retrograde, through the eclipses, that you'll be searching for a job, and likely something will come in, especially sometime between the end of January and I would say like the beginning of March. Mars going direct in your 10th house too. That's also going to kind of ramp up your ability to, you know, get a job and go in a different direction with work. And Venus and Mars will aspect each other. So it's going to be good for money. I get the impression that you will leave your job. I mean, with the 6 of Swords being at the bottom of the deck as the confirmation card, it's almost like saying, take a breath, just wait, don't get frustrated, focus more on just being patient, because it does look like something is going to be coming in, specifically when we're in Pisces season. So the end of February going into March is looking like that's when it's going to happen. I like the 6 of Swords because it does talk about moving on to, you know, calmer waters. So it could be a more peaceful job, a better schedule, you know, an office that you like better. It could be staff that you like better. It could be something also that makes you feel like you're doing, like I said, purposeful work. I think, you know, with so many eclipses, retrogrades, and other things that are happening in the same sign, everybody needs to know where Aries and where Pisces is in their chart. For Libra rising, these retrogrades from the 7th into the 6th mean that you are reevaluating your commitment to your current job. And you may be interviewing for other jobs right around the time that Mars is going direct in February. You'll get an offer and then you'll be like, well, am I breaking this commitment or this contract with whom I'm working with? And likely you will do that because the Six of Swords is about moving on. Something I've observed with Pisces energy just personally, after looking at transits in my life, looking at transits with a lot of my clients the last 2 years, I have found that Pisces energy, because it's mutable, it's changeable, and it's about completing something. So usually when we're super hyper focused on where we want to go, it'll kind of pull us back and it'll say, no, hold on. You gotta finish this first. You gotta wrap this first, and then you can proceed forward. And if you're super hyper focused on something you want, it almost seems like you get the exact opposite of that. So here's what I want you to do with a retrograde happening in your 6th house and a retrograde happening in your 10th house. Do not be focused on finding a new job. I know this sounds absolutely bananas, but trust me on this, especially with the Hangman coming up. Go into work, say, I'm so grateful for my job. I'm so thrilled to have this experience. This is the best job ever. I want to stay here forever. This is perfect, even if you don't feel that way. You have to feel it. And what you will find is that even if you're sending out applications, you're doing interviews, something will come your way. Do this between now and March, and you will find that it will literally bring you something that you're looking for to pull you out of that situation, and you'll be on your way to something much better. Okay? Come back, report back, because I promise you that's exactly how this energy is going to work for you. So be present with what you have and feel satisfied with wanting to stay, and then boom, an opportunity will come. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Rachel. All right, so we have got Paula. What's up, Paula? You just want a general reading? She says, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Yeah, from one Libra rising to another. You're welcome. My question is about health. I have a scan this month and I go back to work or just relax a bit more. But let's take a look. What can we tell Paula about her health? Will she be returning back to work or should she hang for just a little bit more? Thanks, Elaine. Let's take a look. Let's see. That's me, the dealer. Dealing the cards of fate for you guys on the internet. All right, so what can we tell Paula about going back to work? Should she stay or should she go? Well, look at this. We've got the Devil card, the Fool card, the Queen of Cups. You know, in this case, I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like you're going to get the clearance to go back to work. That's what I think. I think you're going to get the clearance to go back to work. The Fool card seems to indicate that you're going to be able to proceed forward. You're going to feel physically capable. You're going to get the okay to go and do that if that's what you want to do. However, the Fool card can also be saying like haphazardly, you know, jumping back into something or starting something or doing something, whether you're ready or not. And so it's not really a question of whether or not you'll physically be able to. I think health-wise and physically you can manage. But my concern is looking at the Devil at the end of the spread, that it's kind of saying, emotionally, do you feel like you've had enough time to recover from this go grind? Like the Fool card makes me feel like there hasn't been a moment that's let up. Even if you haven't been working, you've been going to doctor's appointments, you've been dealing with health issues, you've been healing. Like there's been a lot of emotional stress, there's been a lot of things that have kind of happened. And you know, you're going to get the okay to go back, or you're going to feel capable of going back, but are you emotionally ready to do that? Queen of Cups is coming up. So this can be talking about you emotionally as a person, you know, doing some reflecting on it and asking yourself, like, have I had time to like really like mentally and emotionally rest and recuperate? Do I feel like I can manage and handle the stress? Is it a good time for me to be doing those things? I'll tell you, as a Gemini rising, you know, the retrogrades and the eclipses are going to represent essentially in March that there is some change in direction with your work. And if you do go back to work, if you go back to the same position With the North Node and Saturn being in your 10th house, you're going to go in and you're going to have a ton of work to do. There's going to be more responsibility, more training, more shuffling around, more having to show up, probably coming in and kind of like course correcting people who have been working there and getting things back on track. It's going to be a lot of work. And Pisces, Saturn, Neptune, North Node can be very emotionally draining. So for me, I'm looking at the Devil card, not just about feeling stuck in the same pattern and routine, but I'm looking at this from the perspective of Saturn, right? And so it's like, do you feel like you get into it and then all of a sudden you're like, man, maybe I wasn't ready to come back yet. Maybe I needed more time. Maybe, you know, I needed to take time to kind of like integrate and also really think long and hard. Is this where I want to be? Do I really want to still be working here? Or do you get back into it and do you feel stuck? Now, on the other hand, if you take more time, like let's say you do go back to work closer to the end of February or sometime in March, you're giving yourself a little bit more time to use the retrograde in your favor and then be like, okay, I'm willingly kind of returning and going back to work, especially because Mercury is in your sign. But that retrograde is going to start in your 11th, which means you're going to be having new teammates. There's going to be new goals. There's going to be a need to have meetings and really strategize and kind of pulling people together. That's not a bad thing, but I feel like I would be very cautious and make sure emotionally with this Queen of Cups coming up, you're really ready to manage the stress. You can kind of take that on. Physically, I don't have a concern. Emotionally, mentally would be more my concern. And if you're going right back into habits where you're working, and not prioritizing your health. And then if you do go back during some of those retrogrades and eclipses, and if you feel like you're, run down or you're exhausted and you haven't had the necessary time to rest, you can see a return or a review of some of the health issues that you have had. But the good news is that as a Gemini rising, you're going to see Jupiter go into your second house this year. So it is going to increase and improve your overall vitality. Body will be strong. It'll be trining Saturn. I really feel like I would make sure you're emotionally ready to go back. And if you're not quite sure yet, or if you feel like you haven't had time to integrate, give it a little bit longer. Maybe give it until, you're getting closer to, I would say, the real new year, sometime, March, maybe even April, which really isn't that long. It might be about a month or two, but it might be worth taking that time to really do the emotional healing and preparation before you throw yourself back into what can feel like a whirlpool at work. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you. What's up, Coco? Unfortunately, we cannot cash in on December readings, but if you guys want to get your January one, you can, or we'll be doing astrology next week. So just let me know if you want me to put you on. All right, so we've got Sage Moon and then Elaine and Vanessa. And if you guys are just signing in, you want to get your reading for level 3, just let me know. Or if you are wanting to get a reading, you can scan the QR code and you can get in the queue. Readings are open. All right, so we have got Sage Moon. No worries, we will be here next Friday. We're going to do readings for the full moon in Cancer. We will be here. All right, so we have got Sage Moon, or Katie. She says, 3 cards, please. Late degree Pisces rising with the North Node transiting my ascendant. I'm traveling overseas tomorrow. My birthday's on the 9th. I'm a bit anxious and optimistic. What do the cards say? Okay, Christine, just let me know. I'll do it. Just send me your question. Actually, I think you sent it at the top, so I'll check that in a second. Let's see. I know Katie corrected something here. Where was it? She said, let's see. On my note, I meant to say Neptune is on my ascendant, although North Node is a few degrees past my descendant. So Neptune is on your ascendant. North Node is in your 12th house. Got it. All right, and you're traveling. That's right. You're coming to the United States. So she wants to know if it's a good time for her to be traveling. She's anxious but optimistic. Well, let's take a look. 1, 2, 3. And those of you guys who are asking if I got your request, just give me a second and I'll put you in. Ooh, the Sun card, the Hierophant, the Magician. You got 3 majors. Well, I mean, I think that with, North Node kind of heading into your 12th house, already being there, I mean, it's going to start kind of really activating, you know, traveling and going and doing stuff that's going to be international. I do think that these are all positive cards. I think what's interesting is the Sun card does give this overall sense of, okay, reflecting and thinking back about wanting to take a holiday, wanting to take a break, going somewhere where you could be in the sun, literally wanting to be, you know, out on the beaches, or wanting to be somewhere where it's warm and it's friendly and it's inviting, that there is this focus in, you know, being able to like enjoy yourself and being able to kind of have time to reward yourself. The Sun is a card that comes up after strife. So if you feel like, hey, I gifted myself this because it's been a long year, or I promised myself I'd do something fun for my birthday, or I wanted to kind of like make this commitment to go and do something for me, that's what you should be kind of thinking about and meditating on, and like not letting other things kind of interfere with, you know, an opportunity to go and do something that could be really great. Then we have the Hierophant. So it is kind of saying that maybe part of that is the reading. Like the Hierophant usually is like consulting with somebody and getting some professional advice, or getting some direction, or trying to make sure that you have everything in order before you make a big decision, like traveling. The Hierophant also talks about like just making sure that when you travel that you're prepared. And this could mean you know where you're going, you know where you're staying, you know how to get around, you're prepared when it comes to your travel, your IDs, all of that stuff. It's about just kind of having a system and getting to where you need to go. So if you're stressed out and you're worried about traveling or being somewhere or getting there, it's just making sure that you have everything in order. And also when you get to your destination, that you may have somebody that's going to be kind of like guiding you or picking you up or taking you to and from places. It could be somebody who's helping manage your travel in general. So it could be as simple as just if you want to feel safer and like know that you're going to have someone pick you up, or that you're going to have like a car service that's going to get you when you get there, you could do that. This could also mean that, you know, you're contacting your host if you're staying with an Airbnb, or you're contacting a hotel, or maybe you're contacting, you know, the place that you're staying, and, you know, getting any recommendations, getting any tips, talking to them about safety precautions, talking to them about also, you know, what they're doing to ensure that, you know, the people who are staying there have a safe and secure stay, if for whatever reason you have any of those concerns. I think you said you're going to San Diego. I can't remember, but I feel like that's where you said you were going. So maybe it's a matter of doing that. I do think that the final card, being the Magician card, is saying, I do think things are going to go well. This is a card that is about manifestation. This is about things manifesting in terms of your trip based off of what you're thinking about. So you're saying on one hand, you know, you're anxious, but you're also optimistic. So the cards are saying like, well, what's the trip going to be? Like if you're committing to going, you want to be there, you have it all planned out. Oh, you're going to Morocco. Okay. You have it all planned out. Okay. For some reason I thought you were going somewhere else. You'll be fine. I don't see there being an issue, to be honest with you. If I had any concerns, I'd tell you. But I think the Magician card is also saying that you may be surprised that things may actually go better than you imagine that they would go. And also that a lot of how the trip manifests is going to be kind of like your mindset going into it. So I would be excited. I would be not just optimistic, I would be excited and be reminding yourself that like everything's going to go according to plan. Everything's going to be fine. It's going to pan out exactly the way you want it to go. And the Magician card is as above, so below. So start visualizing that, meditating, you know, maybe get on the plane, put on your headset and like listen to some positive affirmations or something, just to kind of get in the right mindset. So that way, you know, you can allow some of these things to kind of like unravel. But if anything happens, it's going to be like happy coincidences. I feel like the Magician card would be, you know, good things happening or surprises or some kind of enlightenment or, you know, chance meetings or things like that. Nothing necessarily bad. I would be really optimistic. And I'm wondering with like the Hierophant, if it's going to be somebody who's going to be showing you around, or somebody who's going to be a tour, or somebody who's going to be like guiding you. It may not be a bad idea, even if you have everything already situated, it may not be a bad idea to have somebody like that you can connect with on one of the days, or somebody who can kind of take you around and do all the sightseeing. Somebody who you know is going to know like the lay of the land. Cool. So if you've got that, that's great. And I think that in itself is going to give you a more rounded out kind of trip. So you're going to be able to see everything that you want to see, and you can do it in a timely fashion, and it's structured, because that's what the Hierophant wants you to do. Okay? I hope you have fun. That'll be fun. Morocco seems like a really cool place. Have a happy birthday. All right, so Christine wants to get her reading, and so does Coco. So let me add you guys to my list here. Christine, I will do your reading, and then Coco, I'll do yours. So Christine, just reading your message here. She says, what is in store for my career, for me career-wise in the next 6 months? All right, well, let's take a look. So what can we tell Christine on her career for the next 6 months? What's up, Deanna? You extended your stay, I saw. I hope you had a good holiday. All right, so let's take a look what we can tell Christine about her career in the next 6 months. All right, so in this order, we've got the Four of Cups, the Four of Swords, and the Knight of Pentacles. I kind of feel like the Four of Cups and the Four of Swords have a lot of similarities beyond just them being fours, which can be about, you know, taking stock in things, getting grounded, trying to get a more serious perspective, learning to make decisions that are going to be emotionally and intellectually based, especially with the cups and the swords kind of coming up. Here's the deal. In both of these cards, in the past and in the present, the Four of Cups is about being, I don't like using the word disgruntled, but like being disappointed, feeling unfulfilled, feeling like you're missing something, questioning if you could do more, wondering if there's a better position for you, maybe feeling unfulfilled in a sense of feeling like certain opportunities that you thought were going to come your way haven't come your way, or, you know, feeling like there was missed opportunities, or feeling like you haven't quite found your place yet. And that could be in your current position, that could be in your field in general, your career, whatever. And with this card, you want to be really careful, because sometimes we can get so stuck in a rut that it's hard for us to be able to see what else is kind of going on out there. Does that make sense? I also feel like with the Four of Swords coming up, it's saying like, okay, so things haven't gone the way that you thought it was going to go, or maybe you're feeling a little, you know, delayed or disappointed. But right now, the Four of Swords is saying you're not supposed to be taking any action right now. Fours can indicate over the next 4 weeks, the next 4 months, the 4th month, which might be closer to April, when in all honesty, that's when you're going to see a lot of things that are going to be kind of changing for you, especially because that's the beginning of the real new year. So a lot of people are going to feel like the first 3 months are going to kind of drag, and then you're going to start to see something really expand as we're getting into the springtime. I feel like the Four of Cups is saying to you, rather than sitting and harboring and maybe like marinating too much on what's not working, come to terms with what you want to change. Okay, don't be so focused on what hasn't happened. Don't get stuck in the past. Don't reminisce on those things. Okay, that happened. Where do you want to go? Do you want to get a higher position in your current, you know, job or your current field? Do you want to look and see what else is out there? Are you hoping maybe that you can make a segue completely in a different direction? Focus on where you're going, because if you feel like you're disappointed or stuck, it's going to perpetuate that energy with the Four of Cups coming up. Four of Swords is saying, okay, think about it, sit on it, sleep on it for a little bit, and also give yourself a bit of a chance to rest and recuperate. This is a card that comes up where if somebody's been overworking, if they're sick, if they're not meant to make a move right now, they're meant to just sit and kind of integrate. I see this as really taking the time now before you see like a real power up period in your career. Four of Swords can be saying like, enjoy your free time or enjoy coasting while you've got it, because the final card that comes up is the Knight of Pentacles. So when somebody says, well, what's going to happen in my career? And the Knight of Pentacles comes up in the future position, I say, well, you're going to get offered a job, or you're going to get offered a higher position, or there's going to be more work coming your way, or you're going to have something that's going to be more profitable, or something that is going to require more responsibility of you. Knights are about messages. So it's going to be like a proposal. It's going to be like not a bonus, because this is something you have to work for. This isn't something you've earned yet. It could mean that you decide to take it upon yourself after you've taken, 4 weeks or so to kind of reflect on where you want to go. You've realized, okay, I know that I can achieve more. I can get a better position. I can get more money. And then you go out there and you look for it. Likely there will be an offer. So if you're applying for stuff, or if you're inquiring as to whether or not you can, get a higher position, if you're wanting to even get back into work, if you feel like you've been stagnant and you haven't been as busy or you're not working, this means that likely you're going to be working. And you're going to want to watch when we're starting to see planets that are, going through earth signs. So obviously, we're in Capricorn season now. It could literally be, within the next 4 weeks that you can see the segue that can change. Look for help or support that may be coming from an earth sign. So this could be a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn. This could also mean that you kind of put some feelers out there and you're kind of questioning, okay, is this company hiring? Do you guys have anything here? You're talking to people and you have someone who says, hey, I want to get you in, or I think you'd be a good person for this position or for this job. Like they may come and try to approach you. If not, this might be working with a recruiter. This is definitely one of the cards that I see for recruiters that pop up, or people who are doing job placement. If not, it's going to be you taking the initiative and saying, okay, I'm going to put my information out there. I'm updating my resume. I'm actually going to kind of put some feelers out and then wait and see if anybody's going to bite. But right now it's focusing more on coming to terms with that you want to close this old cycle. You want to walk away from what you've been doing. You want to complete these old kind of patterns and habits when it comes to work. And honestly, enjoy your time while you have it, because whatever is coming next, even though it's going to be beneficial for you, you're probably going to make more money. It's going to be a lot of work. So enjoy your downtime while you have it, and really think long and hard about where you see yourself over like the next 4 years or so, because the wands and the swords and the cups, they're all kind of pushing towards something that's going to be more long-term. It's not meant to be something that's going to be a short-term change. It's something that you're going to want to stay at for a while. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. We've got Coco, and I know a lot of people are asking if I can give them the update, so I will give you guys the update. Give me 1 second. Let me update my PayPal, and then I will take you in just a second, Coco. And those of you guys who are tuning in, if you want to get a reading, just scan the QR code. You can get in the queue. We've got about 10 people or so who are still waiting. So if you want to get a reading, it's going to be a little bit, but I appreciate you guys' patience. Let's see. There we go. All right, so who else do I have? So this is who I've got. Elaine, Vanessa, Omar, Archive Astrology, Carly, Victoria, Sandra, Kimberly, is it Talon, Stephanie, Katie, and I always mispronounce your name. Kadia, am I saying that correctly? Kadia? So if you hear your name, I have you. We'll leave the queue open for a little bit longer for you guys. All right, let's take Coco, and then Elaine and Vanessa, you guys are on deck. All right, Coco, she says, actually, I'm anxious. I'll go ahead and use my January today. I broke up with my boyfriend on the 1st. Ouch. He isn't spending enough time with me, but isn't spending enough time with me, but isn't what I wanted. Will we get back together? Thank you. Khadija. Got it. Thank you. All right. So what's going on with Coco and her ex? They broke up on New Year's. Even though it's not what she wanted, she wants to know, are they going to get back together? Let's take a look in this order. We've got the Devil card, the Four of Wands, and the Knight of Swords. What sign is he again, Coco? Just wondering. Does he got like some air in his chart? Gemini, Aquarius, Libra? All right, here's the deal. I think, kind of working backwards, there's going to be like a bit of like a peace offering. Like there's going to be somebody, okay, Cancer Sun. There's going to be somebody who's going to try to find a way to be like, hey, can we break the ice? Can we hang out? It doesn't necessarily mean you guys are getting back together. But I do feel like the Four of Wands being in the center is kind of indicating and implying that there's going to be an opportunity for you guys to go and do something together, right? Socially. And that's just kind of like breaking the ice a little bit and finding a way to be able to kind of see each other. I do think that, you know, in my opinion, the Devil card coming up and the King of Swords coming up. I mean, look at the King of Swords. He's sitting there. He's pensive. He's thinking. Like there is a sense of him like reflecting on something. Taurus, Moon, Rising, Scorpio. Okay. And I think that this is about him reevaluating and sitting back and thinking about how everything fits together. This is not me making excuses for him, but just thinking about like his chart. He's got a Taurus moon in the 7th. So these are generally people who are very devoted and dedicated and consistent with a partner, okay? And he's got Mars and Pluto that are opposing each other. Scorpio risings are getting raked over the coals right now. Because there is so much emotional turmoil or things going on internally or things going on with their family or pressure going on with their home on top of their chart ruler retrograde in the 10th house, that there is this feeling that's like, you know, everything is changing. And whether it's his living situation, his career, the pressure that's going on, you know, with family stuff, it's all squaring his moon. Even if it's not exact, it's squaring by sign and his ascendant, which is going to make it a lot more difficult for him to be able to fit in or facilitate that Taurus moon, that relationship. So, you know, the Devil card is saying right now there is this feeling of feeling stuck and not being able to move forward and not knowing how to move forward. Now that can also be talking about your perspective in the relationship that, you know, okay, I didn't want to break up, but, you know, he's not making a lot of time for me. And so maybe you're taking this time while you guys are kind of apart to reevaluate and say, you know, can we break through some of these barriers? You know, is it possible for us to be able to kind of get through this difficult time or this rocky patch? Are things going to change? Is it going to be like this forever? I don't really think the breakup is a bad thing, to be honest with you. I know that that's not what you wanted, but I do think with the 4 of Wands and the Knight of Swords, this may give him time to reevaluate and kind of think and integrate and kind of go, wow, she brought a lot to my life. You know, things were nicer and happier and like more joyous and loving when she was in my life. And he may be kind of like wanting that back. Like there can be a sense with the 4 of Wands of him just wanting to spend time with you and go do something with you, and him realizing that, you know, he should have prioritized more time with you, even though I do think that he's under a lot of pressure given his astrology. The 4 of Wands can also be talking about like a joyous reunion. It's a temporary space, the 4 of Wands. It could be like a party, you know, a outdoor festival. But in the realm of relationships, it's saying that this is temporary. Whatever is going on is not meant to be permanent, that there will be some reason for you guys to come together. There is likely going to be like a breaking of the ice kind of hangout to see how both of you guys are doing since you guys have split. I think it's good that he has time right now to himself to kind of reflect, because I feel like the King of Swords in the final position is saying he's going to have something to say. Like however you guys broke up, whatever went down, how it happened, I think he knows that in order for you guys to reconnect and get back together, he's going to have to really show up and apologize or own up to some of the things that he has said or some of the things that he has done, where maybe he has kind of been a little blinded to some of his behavior. And I think he's going to be very mature about it. I think he's going to be an adult. And I would be really curious to what he has to say, but you have to let him think about this. I'll also say that like the astrology for Scorpio risings is really, really, really good. You know, February, March, April, you know, because the 7th house Lord is going to retrograde in the 5th and conjunct Saturn, which is kind of connected to Capricorn or the Devil card. So it might mean that this is a significant turning point where if he wants love, if he wants relationship, he has to show up. He has to be willing to kind of open up his heart and also make time for somebody else in his life. It can't just be all focusing on himself or his business or, you know, his problems. It has to be really allowing that space for somebody else to come in and like taking care of them. So I wouldn't worry about the breakup right now. I would wait until you guys are able to kind of interact, or until there is an opportunity for him to say, hey, can we get together? Can I see you? Or can we talk? And when that happens, hear him out, hear what he has to say. Because I think he'll be sitting on this for a while and kind of realizing that you brought a lot to the table. And I don't think he wants to break up either. I think he feels, you know, the Devil card kind of stuck or bound or stuck between a rock and a hard place, where maybe he is trying to prioritize other things in his life right now, and it's hard for him to also have a relationship. He's great, but doesn't make sense to me to be in love. Yeah, lonely in a relationship. I feel like he needed a kick. Yep. Oh, he sent a song. Of course he said it. He's going to have to do more than that. And I think the King of Swords personally, you know, unless he calls you up and tells you exactly what's on his mind, or he sits down and has a conversation with you, or he sends you a heartfelt letter, wait. Because this makes me feel like he's going to have a lot to say, but he needs to be willing to step up, you know, and do it. And like, come on, Mars retrograde, you know, in Cancer, and he's a Cancer sun, like there's a lot of like needing to like learn to be more assertive and like taking initiative, you know, at least in my opinion, right? If he's a Scorpio rising, it depends if his sun is in the 8th house or not, but give him that time and that opportunity to kind of reflect on it. He's going to have to do more than just sending you a song. Hopefully that's helpful. Sending you lots of good vibes. Hang in there. All right. We've got Elaine, Vanessa, and Omar. Somebody's asking about what deck this is. This is the Romantic Victorian deck. I think this is the 3rd edition, if I remember correctly. I believe it's the 3rd edition. I don't know. I have all of them. I have the original one, which is like, I got that deck forever ago in its original form. And now it's like reading paper. Like when I try to shuffle it, it's literally like paper. They're so thin, but I've had all of them and these are the best. Baba Studios makes some of the best tarot decks, in my opinion. The card stock is just phenomenal. And some of them have like the gold foil and stuff. They're really great. All right, so we have got Elaine. And then after Elaine, we got Vanessa and Omar. So Elaine says, tarot reading. I met a man on November 23rd, 2024, and now I'm very interested in him. Is this relationship I have long-term potential? I forgot to say I'm a Sag rising, Pisces sun, Cancer moon. That man I'm seeing is a Scorpio rising, Sag sun, and Libra moon. Okay. Ooh, Scorpio rising, Libra moon. Let's take a look. So let's see what we can tell Elaine. If you're a Sag rising and he's a Sag sun, that's not a bad match. I like the sun ascendant stuff personally, but let's take a look. What's the deal? Is there long-term potential between Elaine and this guy? So many Sag risings are just having to be patient, whether they're waiting for somebody to come in or they're trying to figure out the one that they've met, if it's going to be them. 9 of Swords. The Fool card and the 7 of Cups. That's kind of funny. I kind of feel like, you know, looking at these cards, it's interesting because they seem to kind of indicate it could go one of 2 ways. And it's not necessarily bad. It's not often that I get a reading that's like, well, you know, there's more than one potential, because usually the cards are like, here, this is what I see coming. But it's saying there's more than one potential here. I think part of it might be to the fact that, you know, as a Sag rising, you still have Jupiter in your 7th. They're still, you know, coming out of the square. I think the other part of it is if you have a Scorpio rising, you're now going to see that he's going to start having eclipses in his 5th house, which is going to prioritize romance. What's the deal? 9 of Swords. I mean, in the past position, there's this feeling that maybe you were worried you weren't going to find somebody again. You were worried you weren't going to fall in love again. You were, you know, concerned that you weren't going to find somebody that you really liked. Maybe there has been some things that didn't play out, or maybe you kind of got burned in the past where you found somebody that you really connected with and then it kind of fizzled out. So in the past position, the 9 of Swords is like, what if it doesn't work? What if he doesn't like me? What if this doesn't, you know, move forward? What if there's no, you know, possible potential? But in the current position, you have the Fool card. I think it's cool the Fool is coming up so much right now for people, because it's almost like going into 2025, a lot of people are like, screw it, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to do things I've never done. And that is the energy of the Fool. So this can be encouraging you to go into it with 0 expectations. That if you go into it with no expectations, you're not attached to any particular outcome, you're not assuming the worst, you're also not, you know, assuming that this is a forever thing. This is kind of where you're meant to be right now. I do feel like the 7 of Cups is interesting because it does also kind of imply that there can be this sense of going, okay, you know, do I keep my options open? Should I see other people? Are they seeing other people? Like, once again, this is a card that is kind of similar in a way to the 9 of Swords. It's not negative, but it does mean that there are so many different potentials or so many different either ways this can go or people who can kind of pop in that could potentially change the dynamic. I also feel like the 7 of Cups is about grounding things. Usually this card comes up when we have too many irons in the fire. So unless you're seeing more than one person or he's seeing more than one person, I don't really have any concerns for this card. I think it's more about you going, What do I want? Okay, let me really rein that in. If I really want to make it work with this person, I really like this guy, I'm going to, you know, kind of put on my blinders and limit any other actions with other people because I want to give him my full attention. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think in many ways, you know, Sag risings, I always laugh. Like these are like the bachelors and like the bachelorettes of like of the zodiac. You guys generally, it takes a lot to want to get you guys to settle. Maybe you're a little different because you're a Pisces sun. And you're a Cancer moon, but still, you know, like you guys are generally really okay on your own until something really strikes your interest and it takes something really, really special or somebody really interesting to want to get you to go, oh, I would settle down for that. Now, like I said, you have a lot of water in your chart, so you could be a little bit different, but I do think that the Seven of Cups is focusing more on what could happen rather than all of the ways that it could fall apart, or what could go wrong, or, you know, things that potentially would kind of creep into your mind that would kind of get you concerned about, you know, why it wouldn't work out or why they wouldn't choose you. Like I would try to do my best to kind of put my blinders on and focus on this person. I do think that the Fool card can be saying that whatever is going on between the two of you is going to be a very different relationship dynamic than what you've had in the past, in a good way. It can be something where you're learning new things about yourself, you're learning new things about relationships, you're realizing what you want, you're willing to take chances, you're willing to take risks with this person, and that you may be traveling with them or that you may be going somewhere with them. And that's going to give you a little bit more insight into who they are. It's going to show you a little bit more about their depth. I think that if you're a Gemini, if you're a Sag rising, that the last 2 or 3 like months have been really colorful because you've had retrogrades in your sign. So there's been oppositions to Jupiter, squares to Saturn. So maybe it's been a lot of getting to know somebody from a distance, feeling them out, maybe, you know, and then making your decision about whether or not you want to kind of proceed forward with them. There has been a lot of Sag risings who have said that there has been home matters that have been getting in the way of relationships. So where you're living versus where they're living, or a family situation, or it can be like even just like work schedules where something hasn't been quite aligning, that hasn't allowed you guys to fully come together yet. And it could have created some doubt in your own mind, or it could have created some like fears revolving around whether or not the two of you guys are actually going to be able to come together. That's now clearing out. So you're going to want to watch for like when planets are starting to kind of come into your 5th house, which is going to be in March. More of a defining moment for romance and relationships. For the time being, focus on, you know, what is possible between the two of you. I'm not seeing anything negative other than kind of freaking yourself out, to be honest with you. So I hope that that's helpful. I like that it's a different relationship than what you've been in before. So it's going to be like really difficult for you to, you know, it's going to be really difficult for you to, I think, turn this one away, because it almost looks like this is a relationship that will really teach you about relationships and about yourself and how to grow and how to trust someone. She says it's a long distance relationship. There you go. See, they're far away. That's the Saturn square. So you'll kind of sort that out. For many Sag and Sag risings, especially like by next summer, if they're in long distance relationships, somebody's going to move. You'll see. Good luck. Let me know what happens. All right, we've got Vanessa Omar, and then we've got Archive Astro. What's up, Vanessa? She says, I wanted to get clarification on my weird neighbors. They have been a nightmare for the past few years, but more so the last few months. Why are they being so obnoxiously loud, and should I confront them directly? Management has already sent letters about being considerate of others, but they continue being loud. I also got really weird vibes from 3 particular ladies. Can you let me know if they have bad intentions or they're doing weird shit towards me? VCEGRG. Okay, got it. Well, I'll tell you, get ready for the eclipses in your 3rd house, Vanessa. That's what's coming. So for the next 18 months, you're going to have eclipses in your 3rd house, Virgo, where you're going to see lots of stuff going on with basically with your neighbors. Okay, that's what's going to happen. And when these eclipses come through, which are going to be in March, you're also going to see a Mercury retrograde. So every Mercury retrograde in 2025 is directly connected to your neighbors. So you're going to have one that's going to happen in March. That's going to be, I think, a back and forth whether or not somebody finally kind of tells them what's up or they get a final warning. You're going to have another one that's going to be in August, July going into August, which could also be about like if things aren't changing, if you're like, do I need to move? This is too much. And then you're going to have another one that's going to be in Sagittarius that's going to be happening, but I don't think it has to do with neighbors. So really it's those two time periods that you're going to want to watch for. All right, so let's look. Let's see. So what's up with the weird neighbors, with the weird vibes, and why are they being such a nightmare? This is what I've got. King of Wands, the Nine of Wands, and the Death card. Well, I like that the King of Wands is coming up because it does kind of talk about some direct action, some assertiveness, you know, kind of standing up and being like, what's the deal? What's going on? Now, sometimes when the King of Wands comes up, I mean, quite literally, look, you've got, you know, somebody who's kind of partying with people, they're playing instruments, you've got somebody who's singing, like there's definitely a lot of noise that's kind of going on in the background of this card. So is there gatherings going on? You know, I don't necessarily, I mean, parties, could it be that they're just having a lot of people over, that there's like a lot of like talking loud, hollering, you know, people who are just like not obviously being respectful of people who are around them. I think that it can be a lot of like traffic of other people kind of coming through there. So I noticed that you're saying that there's 3 different people or 3 different ladies that are there, but I'm wondering, are they bringing people through there that don't live there? King of Wands can be just talking about taking more assertive action when it's like, hey, this isn't working. You know, it might be talking about a manager or somebody of the building who's going to get involved and they're going to come and shut it down, or they're going to be a little bit more direct with the concerns that they have, maybe. Okay, VCECRG, got it. Then I have the Nine of Wands, which means like it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. So the Nine of Wands is like you going like, is it just me? Like, am I the only one who's like complaining about this? Am I the only one who has an issue with it? Am I being too much? Am I being hypersensitive? Like there is going to be a turning point where you're going to be like, it doesn't matter how much I say something. It doesn't matter what they say to them. It doesn't matter what happens. Like, I feel like it's not changing. As much as I hate to say that to you, I think that may be part of what's happening during the eclipses. I do feel like this can also be about you. Why don't these 3 women like me? Like, seriously. It has nothing to do with you. It has more to do with the fact that, like, to me, it seems like you've got people who are like talking on the phone loud. You've got people bringing people over. You've got people who are socializing. I don't see them intentionally creating noise, trying to like put you out. That's not really what's coming up. This is more people who are not aware of the fact that they're just being obnoxious, and people who feel entitled. Sometimes kings come up when there's entitlement that's going on. And then the Nine of Wands is being like, why me? Why am I, you know, being picked on? Or why am I the only one who's noticing this? Or why isn't anybody, you know, heeding any of my concerns? And then the Death card. It's not unusual when you're having eclipses in the 3rd house that there's issues with neighbors, or you start thinking about moving or movement. Simultaneously, you know, the retrograde that's been going on, that's been happening in your own chart, has been about like having issues with being able to find peace. So you kind of have like the mother of all transits that are kind of setting up where it's coming to a turning point where you're like, okay, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. You know, sometimes the Death card is like definitive, you know, situations where you're doing something where it's like, okay, either this stops or I move, or either they say to them, this stops, or you guys are going to be asked to kind of like vacate the premises and you're going to be asked to leave, because that is coming. Like, that is coming. The Death card, when it comes up in a reading, is saying like, it's going to come to an end and it's going to be one way or the other. And I really feel inclined to tell you to just be patient. I know that it's annoying, and I'm going to tell you anything you say to them likely isn't going to go well. The Nine of Wands can sometimes be a card where if you confront other people, like you're going to be the odd man out. So if you go knock on the door and you're like, can you guys keep it down? Like you're going to see that there's going to be nastiness and things where you're going to be kind of singled out and you're going to feel attacked. Especially with this card. Look, you got a soldier standing, you know, he doesn't feel like there's anything he can do. Everything's kind of fallen around him. And even in the last ditch effort where you think trying to appeal to them and being kind to them and being courteous will work, it won't. So with that being said, you know, I would wait until you see some of these energies that start kind of kicking up. It may die down briefly, but it's going to come back. So you're going to see that you're going to be having issues here probably as early as February and March. And then you're going to be back at it going, okay, what do I do? The Death card makes me feel like somebody's going to be giving an ultimatum. And I don't necessarily see you moving because there's no movement cards. I think it's more going to be directed at them. That's like, look, you know what, if we get any more complaints, like, you know, we're not going to renew your lease, or we're going to be asking you guys to leave. I don't think that you're going to be the one going yet, but over the next 18 months, as you're having eclipses in that part of your chart, you may contemplate or consider moving. That's very possible. Equally, you know, some of the eclipses are going to be opposing your 4th house, and they're going to be squaring. And when you have eclipses oppose your 4th house, you feel like you want to be more assertive with other people. So if you're trying to get anything done, I would advise you right now, like not going and doing it yourself, because I don't think it's going to go well. The other option is, you know, sometimes the King of Wands can be somebody who shows up and enforces something. It can be somebody who's going to be a little bit more bold and dynamic. You know, I wonder if it's a matter of saying to your apartment manager, being like, look, you know what? I've made several like complaints. They're always being loud, like they're being disrespectful. I've said something to you. If you don't say anything, if nothing changes, like I'm going to start calling, you know, the cops for noise complaints. You could do that if that's something that you need to say, but I don't think you're going to get very far on your own. You're going to have to either be appealing to the management or somebody else who can kind of get involved and intervene. But especially having people over, or any like, like meetings, parties, socializing, like if there's a lot of people kind of going back and forth, there's definitely other people who are picking up on this. Because if you see in the card here, there's like people who are kind of fallen, where it's like other people who are like, we've given up trying to say something. Nothing is working. And I feel like if enough people like complain, or if enough people say something, it'll get to a point where if you have several tenants that are, you know, complaining about people who are living there and nothing is being done, like you potentially run the risk of people who are going to be leaving the building. So you're not the only person who's complaining. But is there anything that's being put towards you? No, I don't think so. I think they know that you're agitated. I think they know that you're displeased, because when you look at, you know, how the soldier is looking at the party and the gathering and stuff that's kind of happening, he's not thrilled. He's sitting there and he's kind of agitated that these people are all kind of gathering and being loud and doing their thing. So they know either that you've complained, or they know that you're not happy with some of like the issues that have been going on with the noise. But I don't see anything kind of going at you. I will say, just looking at the cards, you know, King of Wands, 9 of Wands, and the Death card, there's nothing really that connects or correlates specifically to any one of those particular initials. So if there's anything that popped up, I would be like, oh, it's this one, but there's nothing that correlates with them. Let's look at the bottom card. And you have the High Priestess. So yeah, I don't think there's anybody who's intentionally doing any magical ill will, any negative juju or vibes or anything. But something you can do that can be really helpful for obnoxious neighbors, you can take a mirror, put it up against the wall facing the front door, and literally have it facing the front door. So if you have like a couch or something, slide it between a couch, have it facing out towards the door so it reflects things back. Energetically, that can diffuse a lot of stuff. And, you know, you can put an evil eye out or something like that. I mean, the High Priestess, she knows if there's vibes that are being sent her way, like she can pick them up, but I don't really see anything that's like hitting you. So I hope that that's helpful. And honestly, consider talking to the management and being like, look, I know I can't be the only one because these people are obnoxious. Let me know what happens. We've got Omar, Archive, and Carly. If you guys want to get in, scan the QR code before we call last call. What's up, Omar? Omar says, 3 card. What messages does my higher self want to hear at the moment? Libra, Ascendant, Sag, Sun, Taurus, Moon. You're welcome. Yep. All right, so what does Omar's guides want him to know? Ooh, 2 came out here. Queen of Wands, King of Wands, the Star card. I like this combination. What's going on in the relationship department, Omar? What's the deal here? You've got a Queen of Wands, which could represent a fire sign. This can be talking about somebody who's coming in that's warm, inviting, creative, fun, playful. Can be somebody who's a friend, but it can also be somebody who's a potential romantic interest. When the Queen of Wands shows up, it's really talking about like livening up the energy, giving you the opportunity to have more spontaneity, to go out and socialize more, to be able to also be more creative when it comes to some of your goals and some of your hobbies. Then we've got the King of Cups coming up. So this is a pair. They're not the same element, but it is two people. And the King of Cups talks about emotional development, intuition. It can also be talking about feeling very fulfilled, a little bit more romantic, a little bit more willing to kind of want to engage with somebody in a relationship, wanting to partner with somebody, feeling inspired, and also like feeling like you're more capable of sharing what's on your mind, sharing how you feel. And so the queen is having an influence on the king, basically. She's facing the king. This has to do with like her involvement, meeting her, spending time with her, being around her, feeling inspired by her. And that's kind of like opening the king up in a way. And that makes him more open to relationship. It also encourages him to think about being more in touch maybe with his inner emotions. And then you've got the Sun card, and the Sun card talks about fulfillment, joy, fun, playtime, creativity. Maybe it's saying that you're about to have a breakthrough when it comes to relationships, somebody coming into your life that's going to be very inspiring, and somebody who is going to kind of open up parts of yourself that you have not seen in a while. It can also talk about some really great, partnership. It doesn't have to be romantic, but it can be a partnership that's kind of developing, that is helping you kind of get in touch with your inner child, that is encouraging you to go after your goals, that's encouraging you when it comes to your career. Somebody who is going to celebrate some of your wins with you and also be really pushing you when it comes to fulfilling some of your dreams. The Star card, the Sun card comes up after you have seen turbulence and turmoil. It is about that breakthrough or an epiphany or enlightenment and kind of like reaching some kind of goal that you've been hoping for. So if you've been hoping to have a, new friend, a playmate, a creative collaborator, a new romantic interest, or if you've been hoping to have more playtime and time to kind of go deeper in an existing relationship, that's going to be happening. I would be looking at when, maybe we're seeing like the new moon. Sometimes like with the Sun card, it can be talking about, new solar transitions that are happening or when the sun is changing signs. It can also be indicating that there is like a connection specifically to the sign of Leo, because the Queen of Wands is a fire sign. We've also got the Sun card, which has connections and associations with Leo. And obviously you've got like a little kid on a horse. So this also talks about like allowing yourself to have time to kind of break away from your usual routine. That could be traveling, that could be learning, that could also be that you're making more of an effort to get in touch with your inner child or your inner artist, and you meet somebody or you see somebody's artwork or you see somebody's career and how passionate, how driven they are, and then they have this influence on you that's like, I want to do those things too, right? So I'm wondering if you're single, if you're going to meet somebody, to be honest with you, because it looks like it might be somebody who comes in that kind of knocks your socks off. If not, if you're in a relationship, this could be a turning point in an existing relationship where you're learning to kind of reconnect again and you're learning to kind of develop, opportunities to go out on dates, or you're falling in love with each other again. It's a really good omen for somebody who is going to be a really strong influence on you, especially when it comes to your overall happiness and kind of your way of looking at life. Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right. Single, not really looking right now. So then watch for somebody who's going to come in, who's going to have an influence, especially on you emotionally and with your career. The Sun card is directly connected to that. So it can be somebody who's like, hey, I like your work. I like what you're doing. Show me more of what you've got. Or somebody who is encouraging you to kind of do more. Let's see, who else do we have? We have got Archive, Carly, Victoria. Let me update this. So if you guys want to get in before we call last call. We'll leave it open for a few more minutes. What's up, Enchanted? Did you want to get a tarot reading for the month? Can I cash in? I can do that. I'll add you to my list. So I will take, I'll take Leslie. She's been waiting for a minute. So I'll take Leslie and then I will take you, Enchanted. All right, so Leslie says, Cancer, Rising, Libra, Sun, Virgo, Moon. Contemplating purchasing a condo summer of 2025 after my lease ends. Unsure if this is the right move, and if yes or no, why? All right, let's take a look. So is purchasing a condo in summer of 2025 a good idea, or 2026, sorry, summer of 2026 after the lease ends, is it a good idea? And if so, why? All right, so these are the cards that I get. Five of Pentacles, Three of Wands, King of Pentacles. You know, I think this is kind of on par with your astrology. I kind of feel like just, you know, thinking about the astrology for Cancer rising, lots of changes with career. You know, there's going to be a whole building out period that's going to happen in this next year in your 10th house with Saturn and Neptune. You're done with the eclipses in Libra. There's going to be an incentive to want to work more, produce more, bring more in, you know, this year. So that way you can make some of the changes that you want to make. And a lot of Cancer risings are going to be moving, right? Obviously with eclipses in the 3rd house, that will branch into 2026. So that checks out for me. You might want to go and look at where your natal 4th house Lord Venus is and how it's aspected over the next year. Looking at the Five of Pentacles in the background, kind of like where you've been, this is like focusing on, you know, kind of getting out of a situation where maybe you've been feeling like you're, you know, paying too much for rent, or you feel like you've been spending a lot of money or wasting a lot of money and you haven't really been saving as much, or you haven't had as much to put towards moving. Five of Pentacles can also mean that you've been focusing on getting out of a situation where you have felt stuck financially, or getting out of a situation where you feel like you haven't had enough to be able to own something or buy something. That's in the past though. This is the out in the cold card, right? So usually when I see this card, it's talking about hard times or difficulties or challenges in being able to find a job, have enough money, have decent health. So you're like, okay, that's, you know, that's behind me now. Now I'm moving forward. What's good is the Three of Wands is one of my moving cards. So this is like if you're wanting to relocate, if you want to buy a house, if you want to go to a new area, if you're just wanting to kind of switch things up a little bit, this is saying likely you will move. It is kind of saying it's a part of a several-year plan. So for me, the Three of Wands represents you come up with an idea, you start working towards it, and then you execute it. So whatever changed for you last year, where you were like, I'm sick of living here, or I'm sick of renting, or I don't want to be here anymore, you know, or I finally want to own something, that has already been put in motion. You've already started the process of that. And whether that's saving, whether that's looking, whether that's focusing on you know, bringing in more money, or really building out your career so that way you feel like you have the capabilities of being a homeowner. You've already started this process. So the Three of Wands does seem to signify that you will move. What's interesting is you go from Five of Pentacles, which is not the strongest financially, or maybe there's this feeling of being blocked, or almost feeling like, you know, like what you want is out of reach, to this card at the end, which is the King of Pentacles. So this is like having the most capability, having the funds, feeling confident, being successful, being able to own or purchase something. Yes, I do see that being something that's going to happen. And I'll tell you, the astrology in 2026 is a lot better for buying real estate as well, I think. I think we're going to see something turn right at the end of 2025 when you see, you know, exalted Jupiter in Cancer, which expands the themes revolving around home, real estate, and property. And it's going to trine Saturn. So I think a lot of people are going to feel like they're more capable of buying houses at the end of next year. I think that's going to kind of blend into 2026. And I think the astrology of 2026 is going to be a lot better watching Saturn and Neptune trine in fire signs that, you know, will be really positive for you financially if you're a Cancer rising, because some of the build out that you've been doing work-wise or professionally will give you the capabilities of feeling more confident and making a big purchase like this. I have a feeling that what's going to happen actually in the spring of 2026, it's going to be like March going into April, is when you're going to start looking, because this is about looking and seeking. So around the third month of 2026, you know, you're going to be like, yes, I know that, I have the capabilities of buying. I can own something. I have the job security. I'm feeling confident. I'm ready to go. I can cover it. And I think that's when you're going to start looking. And I would just really focus on where you're going. I mean, I think it's going to be night and day. I think your finances are going to be night and day. If you have felt like, you know, you've been agitated or disappointed that you haven't been able to afford more, then I think it's going to be like a situation where you're going to be like, okay, cool. Like, look at where I've come. I've come from renting for so long, or maybe I've been stacking cash. I've been saving. I've been investing, whatever. Sacrifices can come from the Five of Pentacles too. It can be like, I'm not going out all the time. I'm not going on trips. I'm not eating out all the time, you know, and the sacrifices that you made to get to a point where you feel like you can have what you want. But you're definitely going to start looking in right around like March of 2026. And I do feel like you're going to be very, very happy with what you're going to purchase, because it's going to be symbolic of all of the hard work that you've kind of put forth in 2025 to be able to make that dream a reality. Okay. Hopefully that goes well for you. Let me know what happens. Very exciting. All right, so I've got Carly, and then Victoria, and then Sandra. You guys are all in the queue. We're going to call last call. So if you guys want to get your reading in, get your reading in. And Sandra says, oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss somebody? Here we go. Carly. Carly, Victoria, Sandra. Sorry. We got Carly. Okay, she says, Scorpio sun and rising Virgo. Scorpio sun, rising in Virgo. I'm a Scorpio sun, rising in Virgo sun if you need that. How can you be two suns? I'm sure that was a typo. Carly says, will anything happen for me in love soon? When? Scorpio rising in moon. Okay, got it. It's okay. Scorpio rising in moon, and you are a Virgo sun. Got it. All right, let's take a look. Just in general, Virgo suns are going to have some good relationship karma with those eclipses in Pisces and retrogrades in Pisces. Oh, sorry, Enchanted. I got you. I'll get you in just a second. I didn't have you on here. I apologize. All right, so this is what I've got for you. We have got the Seven of Wands, the Knight of Swords, the Eight of Swords. Little bit of resistance here, my dear. Seven of Wands can talk about feeling like maybe dating has been an uphill battle, okay? Like an uphill battle trying to meet people, trying to connect with people, trying to figure out how to kind of find your person. And maybe there's been this feeling that also it's been difficult maybe opening up to others, or maybe it's been difficult like approaching people. She says, I have my North Node conjunct my Sun, so I'm scared of the nodal reversal. No, I wouldn't be worried about the nodal reversal. I would just say that if you're a Pisces rising and you got a Virgo Sun, the South Node's going to hit your Sun in the 11th house, where there's less focus and emphasis on communities and friends and other things. There's going to be more focus on your 5th house, which is about romance, right? And it's going to trine your ascendant and your moon. So Scorpio risings have really, really, really good karma for relationship stuff coming up in the spring. But what's coming up here is that there's been this feeling that's like, you know, it's hard to approach people, or feeling like it's difficult to open up, or feeling like it's difficult to trust people, or you feel like you're trying, but, you know, maybe people are a little quick to kind of come and go. That's in the past. For right now, you have the Nine of Swords and the Eight of Swords. So these two cards really can kind of like get into your subconscious and kind of mess with you a little bit. The Nine of Swords is like worrying. Am I going to meet someone? Is it going to happen? This could be anxiety and stress and feeling like you're running out of time, or, you know, wondering, oh my God, am I going to be alone? You know, this is a card that's about nightmares and worst case scenario, but it's things we tell ourselves or things we think. It's not necessarily what manifests or what happens. And that in the right now, I would be like, you can't be giving too much energy or be putting too much thought into what if it doesn't work out? What if I don't meet anybody? Because that's going to kind of put you in like this perpetual kind of spiral. As a Virgo, the eclipses that are going to start happening in Pisces are about relationships because it's 7th house to your sun. But in the 5th house of the Scorpio rising, the relationship to the self, self-love, right? Personal fulfillment, dating yourself, being creative, having a hobby, having an outlet. And what you're going to find with the retrogrades that are going to happen in your 5th house is it's quite literally going to be about you going, okay, I'm having to make time for dating. I'm having to make time in my schedule. I have to treat it like, you know, it is a hobby or it is a job. Saturn's in the 5th. So when Saturn goes through the 5th house, if you're single, we can feel a little disgruntled with our love life. We can feel a little disappointed. And so certainly like the 8 of Swords can be talking about feeling stuck. So this isn't saying that you're not going to meet anybody. This is saying before you get from point A to point B, what needs to be dealt with is any of the fears, the inhibitions revolving around being vulnerable, around transparency, around opening your heart to someone. Maybe it's about loving oneself. Maybe it's going to be about also removing some of the blocks that have been kind of put up against other people. 8 of Swords, traditionally you see that card where she's kind of like, she's bound, she's kind of blindfolded and she's tied up and then you see all these swords around her. And the traditional interpretation of that card is like you're in a situation where you feel like you're stuck or from your perspective you can't get out of it when in reality it's just all up here, right? So really the lesson here is I think taking off the armor, which Scorpio risings can have, even though you guys on the inside are kind of like soft and mushy, but taking off the armor, not being defensive, not being fearful, learning to be more a little bit open. I would go and also look at where your natal Venus is in your chart because Venus rules your 7th house. So you have to look at what house is it in, how is it aspected, what aspects are outer planets making to your Venus. That's going to show you if there's going to be a significant change going on with your love life. But just generally, where you're at right now is more learning to trust yourself, learning to be open to love, not feeling so caged off or disconnected or, you know, like afraid or even fearful of like letting somebody in. And maybe a lot of this is about letting go of all of the things that have kind of happened in the past that has made you feel like you can't trust people or put you in a position where you felt like love is not safe or relationships are not safe. I think that Scorpio rising is probably going to fare one of the best of all of the Venus retrograde in the spring. I think that's the sign that's probably going to do the best, better than some of the other signs. Cancer placements also are going to be seeing, you know, with this Mars retrograde, that this is an opportunity for them to learn how to go after what they want and be more assertive. So I'm thinking about that from the perspective of your moon. So emotionally coming to terms with what do I want? Okay, if that's what I want, what actions, what behavior, what things am I doing that kind of, you know, builds walls between me and other people that keeps me from love. I went through the Saturn transit in my 5th house. I know what that's like. I would just say that you really have to take yourself on dates. You have to like write love letters to yourself. You have to like romanticize your life. You have to treat yourself really good, buy yourself flowers, do all these things for yourself. And when you do that, then when the retrogrades come through, usually you'll see somebody who will come in and they will mirror some of that energy that you've been doing yourself. And that's really the way through it. So try your best as you can to maybe deprogram some of these thoughts that you're like, I'm not lovable or I'm not going to find anyone. Like you want to be kind of breaking all of that down right now. So you're ready to really receive some of those really good, I'm calling it Karmageddon because Venus is going to retrograde. It's going to conjunct Saturn in the North Node. And yeah, it's like whatever you're meant to get dealt during that time, you will. But I think your rising sign's going to fare very well. Okay, especially Cancer placements too. They're going to fare exceptionally well. So you've got it going for all of your placements. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, so we've got Enchanted. What's up, Enchanted? So I was wondering what the next 3 months are going to be like. Was not able to cash in. All right. Okay, gotcha. All right, so let's take a look. So this is for you for the next 3 months. Are you ready for that eclipse? That's going to be in your 1st house. Those are going to be, I keep looking at the horoscope for Aries risings and I'm like, it's almost like you guys are going to be in your cocoon phase, you know, your caterpillar phase. And then this whole process of like February through about May is preparing for the Saturn-Neptune transit. So there's this kind of reemergence, this rebirth that you guys are going to go through. That's going to be really interesting. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see what the cards say. So we've got Four of Swords, the Hangman, and the Devil card. Literally what I was just saying. I was like, you guys are going through your cocoon phase. You're kind of retreating, hanging out, waiting, thinking about what the next step is, and then breaking out of like old stuck patterns. What can I say? I mean, these cards have come up a lot. This in a nutshell is literally what the next 3 months is like, just generally speaking. So it's kind of funny because you are like an Aries rising that you're going through that. You know, Four of Swords wants you to rest. Okay. So you've got your chart ruler retrograde in the 4th. So maybe you're reevaluating what's going on with home. Maybe you've just moved, or you're unpacking, or you're thinking about moving, or there's something changing with your home. And like, if that's been happening, you're exhausted. So there is this sense of being like, well, what am I supposed to do? Well, Mars, you know, retrograde in the 4th is it wants you to rest. It wants you to be home. It wants you to take baths. It wants you to process your emotions. It wants you to connect with family. It wants you to think about your home base and be busy at home, but not to the point where you're overworking yourself. All of these energies that are getting ready to go into Pisces, like people are already feeling it because the North Node is already conjunct, but it's going to become very, very obvious over the next month or two. That's like, we have to slow down. Even though the year is new, no, guys, we're slowing down. We're in the middle of winter, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's not the new year yet. So really for the next 4 weeks, there is a need for you to kind of pace yourself. You want to treat the next couple of like months as like a long distance marathon, right? It's not a sprint. So if you're trying to sprint to get through things, you're going to wipe yourself out. You're going to be exhausted. This is also like recognizing certain situations that you know you want to make changes on, but it's not the right time. And I don't know what that is. For like an Aries rising, it could be in regards to creative, you know, projects, that there are things you want to do, but you're like, man, I need to rest and recharge. Or, you know, I want to move, but I need to be reevaluating where I'm going. Or, you know, I'd really like to have companionship, but I have to deal with my kind of issues that I have with dating or being with people or being open to people before I open myself up to that. That's due to Mars retrograde from your 5th to your 4th. I do think that the Hangman is interesting. I mean, literally Pisces, Saturn, okay, which we know is in your 12th. So like I said, the 12th house is the caterpillar cocoon phase. So you're kind of going within, you're going to spend a couple of months doing that. And then as we're getting to like, you know, basically April, May, June, as Saturn and Neptune are going into your ascendant, something new emerges. And I cannot wait until planets cross that 0 degrees Aries point, because 90% of us have goals and ideas of what this year is going to be like. But the truth is, until we see these ingresses, we don't really know what's going to happen in our lives, in the world. And then we're going to be kind of convening and thinking about, okay, well, now what? Okay, we got to start something new. Obviously, Saturn rules your career, it rules your goals, and Neptune is about your vision. So I see this as a time where you're putting it into action. So I really kind of feel like the Hangman is saying that there are things you want to do, but you can't do it until you've recharged your batteries. That's the truth. And if you're trying to get something going now, you know, you might run out of steam. It may not be the right time. Maybe you need more time for inner guidance, for clarity, for meditation, for rest, recuperation, for inspiration. I think all these planets going through Pisces and going retrograde, we need to feel inspired. So to be honest with you, a lot of really, really, really great art, projects, films, even relationships will come from this period, but we will have to turn within. We're going to have to reflect inward. So you're not really ready yet. So I think the Hangman coming up for you is perfect. I mean, you've got your chart ruler retrograde and you've got planets going through your 12th house, which is saying it's okay to like kick back and relax. Like you have to do that right now. The Devil card is saying that maybe part of the goal this year is to feel like you're not getting blocked, or you're finally getting rid of self-undoing patterns, or where you kind of burn yourself out, or maybe where you psych yourself out, or maybe where you're not as committed and you say or you think you're going to do something and then you end up not doing it. And so this year you're like, I really want to break out of that pattern. I want to actually initiate some of these things. I want to start new projects. I want to do more in my career, all of that stuff. And the truth is that you're going to have to go about it in a new way. Right? 0 degrees of Aries is something we've never done before. So I see this as kind of like entrepreneurial. It's also very much like, let's just start and see how it goes. Aries, God bless Aries energy, but it doesn't really know how to finish things. It knows how to start things. It just strikes the match. And then it passes it off to Leo, and then it says, okay, go and create. Anyway, so for you, you're going to be approaching the way that you do work in a different way. And I feel like as an Aries rising with Saturn and Neptune crossing your ascendant, it's going to be less like, and my mentor used to say this to me all the time because she was a clairvoyant, and she would be like, you like working with tarot and you like working with astrology. And she's like, but that stuff slows you down. And I like the things, right? I like to look at the chart and tell you why things are happening, or look at the cards and tell you why things are happening. But she would always say, just tell people exactly what you see. She's like, this stuff's great. It's just confirming what you know, but just tell them what you see. And I kind of get that feeling for you that maybe you work with tarot, maybe you like astrology, right? But maybe you're going to be like, I'm doing intuitive readings, and just what's coming through is what I'm going to tell people, and not feel like you're having to burn yourself out reading the cards, telling them what a chart says, telling them what, you know, some form of divination says. You're going to be like, ask me your question. I'm going to give you my answer. And maybe the next 2 or 3 months is going to be spent more on resting, recharging, and also intuitive development, learning to trust those hits. Maybe you'll toy with the idea of just giving, you know, clairvoyant readings or giving intuitive guidance readings, or maybe you're going to be taking people's questions. You go and you sit and you meditate on it, you record their reading and you send it to them, you know, and it's very different in the way that you're kind of approaching the structure, Saturn, of your career, 10th house. You're doing it in a new way. And you're also going to want to go and look at your Mars and see what your Mars placement is. But I think this is a lot of undoing old patterns that have felt like it's keeping you blocked, or you're feeling like you're not getting clarity, or maybe you're feeling too exhausted in the way that you've been working. And now you're going to segue into something new. I do, and I'm also clairvoyant. I just know exactly what to do with it. So there's a book I can recommend. It's called I think it's called Opening to Channel. Really good book, really helpful in teaching you like how to do channeling sessions, how to do automatic writing sessions, ways to kind of open and close. I think it might be worth kind of checking out. And there's another one that was called, I want to say it was called The Practical Psychic or The Everyday Medium. I'll have to see what the title is. I'll post it in this video. But I think that it's a great time to go and like really start doing some intuitive like development and like learning how to kind of turn it off and on and refine it. So you're not feeling so exhausted with all of the output that you're doing, and you're just redefining the way that you're going to be actually giving guidance and readings. And usually, you know, tarot readers, Reiki healers, intuitive psychics, astrologers, for whatever reason, I've noticed we always get hit with stuff first. Like we'll get hit with the collective energies, and we go through it, and then the collective goes through it. And I'm telling you, I'm talking to all of my friends who are doing readings. It's not just that we're tired because it's been a lot this last year. We're all getting hit with this wave where we're all like, hold on, we need to slow down. All of us have. We've been talking about it in our group chat. We've been like, something's going on. We're being told to take a step back. And I think part of it is because some of the stuff that we're trying to kind of peer into the future and look at has not been defined. So we're being asked to wait, to have faith, to be patient, to turn within, to think more about what we are kind of putting into the collective energetically. And we're allowing people also, you know, to kind of learn to navigate and go their own way and not be seeking advice and answers to things that they already know. So there are things that are intentionally, I think for a lot of people who are doing this work right now, that are kind of stalling us a little bit. So we're all kind of feeling it. And it will get better when we get into the second half of April. It's like suddenly the lights are going to turn on. So give yourself time to reflect on what some of these old patterns are that you're going to kind of cycle out. And don't beat yourself up if you need a little bit more rest right now, because all of us are feeling it. I myself went and blocked a bunch of time off on my schedule because I was like, nope, I'm not supposed to be working as much at the beginning of the year. And that was the message. So it's not just you, we're all feeling it. Hopefully that's helpful in giving you some insight. Certainly crazy, crazy times. All right, so let's see, who else do I have here? Readings are now closed. We have got Victoria, Sandra, and Kimberly. You guys are all next. And for those of you guys who made the cut, like Tonga, Sophia, Lindy, G, and Kajaya, am I saying that right? I'm sorry, I'm going to keep botching your name. I apologize. Katie, Stephanie, Talon, you guys are all in the queue, okay? All right. So let's take Victoria and then Sandra and Kimberly. You guys are all next. So Victoria says, how will things continue to play out with me and this Taurus man that I'm seeing, or is it just fizzling out and over? I'm a Cap Sun, Leo Moon, Cap Sun, Leo Moon, Aries rising. I was thinking Venus as I was looking at Taurus. You're welcome. All right, Victoria, here is a card for you and this Taurus man. What is going on? Yet another familiar card. All right, so we've got the Four of Cups. That's what came up for you. And the confirmation card is the Six of Swords. So here's the deal, right? I think for a lot of Aries risings, Mars retrograde from the 5th to the 4th is a slowing down of a relationship. I think that the Four of Cups can be an indication where you're looking at it and you're like kind of disappointed or disgruntled, and you're like, he's here, but like it's not going anywhere. Like, and there can be this sense of being kind of like disgruntled, that you're not seeing the same kind of progress and forward motion that what you've seen recently. If you look at the card, you see a guy standing there, everybody's celebrating, they're having a good time, they're connected, but he's like very disconnected, or he's discontent. So what I'm wondering is it a situation where it's fizzling out, or are you starting to realize and recognize, hold on a second, maybe there isn't as much in common. Maybe we don't have the same interest. Maybe there isn't that a genuine attraction that I thought was there. And there can be this feeling that the person that you're dealing with is not necessarily checked in, right? It's not that they're not interested. It's not that they're, not into you. It's nothing like that. This card can be talking about you looking at the situation and you're like, wow, like maybe it's not quite the person who I thought it was. At first it was really exciting, but now you're like, are we a good match? Or it could be him where you feel like he's there, but he's not really there. The Six of Swords coming up as the confirmation card for me feels like you may give it another 6 weeks or so. It may be a period where you're going to feel it out for that long before you decide that you're going to move on. I don't really see it being a situation where he would be the one leaving. It would be you. Like if you're not feeling like you're being given all the attention that you need, if you're not getting all the affection, the romantic connection, the pizzazz, you're going to be like, okay, I'm on my way. And the Six of Swords is in a peaceful manner. So it would be about you kind of either fading out or being like, hey, I think this has kind of run its course. We're good here. I'm going to leave. If you can't get that interaction that you're seeking from him. But also ask yourself, right? Like since you first met with him and you kind of connected with him, do you feel like you guys are on the same page? Do you feel like that same kind of spark is there? I don't think it's fizzling out. I think that the reality is setting in that, if you want to be in a relationship with somebody, you need to be with somebody who's just going to be as enthusiastic about love and like as crazy about spending time together and as in it as you genuinely are. And if they're not, you're not going to settle. You know what I'm saying? She said, I think he's the one, feeling uninterested. I tried calling him earlier and he didn't answer. I feel embarrassed because I can tell he's over it and now I'm bothering him. Well, I don't see him necessarily bailing though. Like I said, even with this guy standing here and he's acting uninterested and people are hanging on him, the confirmation card is the woman getting in the boat and leaving. So, you're probably your next step. I'm not saying this is what you should do, but the cards seem to kind of indicate you're going to be like, I'm going to give him space, or I'm going to kind of like walk away from the situation. I'm going to let him kind of come back to me. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I would handle it. Because if he's going to act like, he's too cool for school or he's busy or he's not prioritizing you, take a step back. Let him come to you. I think ultimately he will come around, but I think by that time you're going to be so put off by the situation that you're already going to have one foot out the door. That's what I think. Because if he can't appreciate what he has while they're there, literally she's hanging on to him. She's like, hey, I'm here. And he's not checked in. She gets in the boat and she leaves. And she's like, I'm not going to wait around for this. Like, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to move on to something else that's going to be better for me. And the Six of Swords does talk about going to places where you're going to be better received, or going somewhere that's going to be more peaceful, or somewhere that's going to be more comfortable. So if you feel uncomfortable in the dynamic and you're feeling like you're not getting what you want, trust me, start walking. You don't have to say anything though. You can just be like, okay, you know what? I tried. He didn't want to connect. And then probably what will happen is right around the time, give it about 6 weeks, you might see him coming back around. But I think you're going to be like, I'm good. I don't think you're going to be as interested personally. And obviously, you know, if you've got a Cap sign, you got Mars in opposition to your sun. So a lot of it can be some relational issues going on with somebody who's like kind of hot and cold and they're kind of back and forth. But I feel like you'll be the one who's going to be like, yeah, I'm good here. Hopefully that's helpful. Sorry to hear that. That's a bummer. All right. Let's see. Hey, Danielle, we already did your reading, so you can kind of go back into the video, but it's there. Yeah, and if you have Venus in Cap, you don't really play that game, you know? You're kind of like, okay, I'm here. I'm making an effort, and if they're not trying, you generally don't forget that. You're welcome. All right, so we have got Sandra, Kimberly, and Talon. All right, so let's take a look. So we've got Sandra. Sandra says, random reading, work life, children, money. All right, well, let's see what comes up. What do we need to know about these topics? One, two, three. This is for Sandra. So we've got the Chariot card, the King of Swords, and the Seven of Cups. Well, for me, I think, obviously, I mean, you know, reading was like, tell me about all of these things. And then you get the Seven of Cups, you know, it's like there's all these things going on. Personally, I feel like the two main things that are kind of coming up for you is more going to be revolving around career direction, obviously, King of Swords, and also like the Chariot card, which is going to be talking more about kind of your home life, your family life, things like that. When I read this in sequential order, past, present, future, this is talking about getting a hold of the direction, figuring out where you're going, feeling into where you're most inspired, listening to your intuition and your gut about taking action. This could be going after a job. This could be moving. This could be making some kind of changes when it comes to your home or your family. Then you've got the Right Now card, which is the King of Swords. So this can be talking about being more, I think, mentally sharp, being more communicative about what you want and where you're going, feeling like you don't want to be lost or overwhelmed or kind of dazed or confused. You know, I really feel like whenever the King of Swords comes up, he's all about direction. He has some sense of clarity. He's well-spoken. He says what he means what he says. He gets things done. Oh, here she is. Sandra says, Scorpio rising, Taurus sun, Pisces moon. And all the Scorpio risings you guys have, especially if you have Taurus placements, you've got Mars retrograde in your 4th and Pluto in the 10th, which is like, what's changing? Is it my career or my family? And the two affecting each other. And if you have a 3-degree Taurus sun in your 7th, that means that the Mars retrograde is squaring your sun and opposing Pluto. So it is definitely saying, okay, something's got to change with the direction of where you're going with your career. Doing so is going to dramatically change your home and your living situation in opposition to Pluto. And it's also going to affect relationships. Here's an idea, right? When you're getting squared like that from all those planets, it's trying to get you to rework one area of your life so that way it can better suit and benefit everything else. That also tells me if you've got a 3-degree sun, over the next year and a half, you're going to have Pluto square your sun. So even without the retrograde, your career is going to change. So really, I think for Scorpio risings, it's about what do you want to do for work? And or have you been making decisions, you know, professionally that's been to maintain your household, to pay your bills, to take care of your family, to focus on, you know, kind of holding down the fort. And like now that might feel like it's kind of crumbling or kind of breaking apart. And that you have to make some necessary changes professionally so you can better facilitate these changes that are going to be coming for you in your home. So for some of you guys, it's like, I'm working too much. It's because I'm overwhelmed with all of the bills. So therefore, I'm going to move, or I'm going to refinance my mortgage, or I'm going to downsize my life, or I'm going to simplify my life. For others, it's going to be, I'm moving to another place to get another job because it's going to be better for me and my family. All I can tell you is, you know, knowing your chart, it's squaring your sun. So it's going to change your relationships and it's going to change your career 100% for the better, but it's going to feel like a lot of pressure between now and April. Number one, I think with the Chariot card is saying like, you know, pick a direction and stick to it. Get your ducks in a row. Where do you need to make the changes the most? Divide and conquer. Most likely it's going to be connected to your family and your living situation. Could there be movement? Could there be changes, new rapid developments with your family? Probably. I think you're going to be seeing this especially kind of happening in the summer months. So you're going to see this like June, July, because this is connected to Cancer. This is connected to Cancer as well. The King of Swords does talk about maybe getting clear with your goals, sitting down, writing them out, you know, having a serious conversation or a heart-to-heart, maybe even with a boss or with a romantic partner. I do feel like the King of Swords is about being assertive and telling people what is going to change and what direction you are going in, so you're not feeling so rattled with everything else that's kind of going on around you. Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups can be beneficial in a way where it can be inspiring. You could be like, I have all these ideas for new things that I want to be doing work-wise, or I have all these new potentials, or, you know, these new ideas for what I could be doing when it comes to making changes with my family and my home. But having too many irons in the fire is generally what it comes up. And from what I've seen with most of my Scorpio risings, I have a lot of Scorpio rising friends, family in my life. All of them have been basically saying, I feel like I have to either choose, you know, my career, or I have to choose my family right now. And I'm being pulled in two different directions and I don't know what to choose. And I would imagine it's even harder if you have a Taurus sun. So really it's putting the pressure on your support systems, you know, financially the support systems you have, whether that's the people you're working for, whether that's a romantic partner or their lack of. It's going to show you where you actually need support from other people to be able to kind of better navigate making the changes in your career and also in your home life. Don't take on too much. Focus on home and focus on family right now, and maybe sit down and make a list of things that you're hoping to achieve and goals that you're hoping to achieve, and then weigh your options, because the Seven of Cups is about keeping an open mind and being like, what is going to benefit me more? Making the changes at home or making the changes at work? And weigh your options out. Literally look at it and kind of decide which one is going to be the one that you're going to kind of tackle first. A lot of the career stuff's going to move forward though, you know, kind of like February on. And for some Scorpio risings, the retrograde in the 9th is, am I going back to school? Am I doing some training? Am I shifting my belief or my philosophy, you know, about life or about my career? And that is supporting, you know, Saturn in your fifth. So some of you guys might be more focused on your children. Some of you guys might be more focused on going to school or working independently or starting your own business in this next year. And that's going to be the redirection that you're going to do. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Sandra. That's one hell of a transit, girl. That's the most intense right now. So literally the first like week or so of January, and you're going to see it again towards the end of April. Hang in there. I hope that that's helpful for you. All right. So let's see. Who else do we have here? We have Kimberly. Sorry, guys, my PayPal always likes to time out. We have Kimberly, and then who else? All right, Kimberly says, hey, Candace, happy crescent moon. What does the card say? What is the best opportunity for me to pursue? Pisces rising, Leo sun, and Venus and Scorpio moon. I like some of the astrology with Pisces risings, to be honest with you. I like that you guys are feeling more creative. I like that you guys are reevaluating some of your romantic situations. I like that you guys are willing to take chances, and you guys are supposed to be putting yourselves first. That's one thing I can tell you with all of the emphasis on Pisces. That is the number one thing. So here's what we have. We've got the Queen of Coins coming up, which is a great card. That's the card I always want to pull personally. Obviously, you know, we know that you're a fire sign, right? But coming up as the Queen of Coins is like the most mature, the most responsible, the most successful, the most grounded, the healthiest, and the most well-rounded of all of the queens. She embodies all of the elements, not just one. This is about your mind being on your money being on your mind, which I think is pretty true for Pisces rising. You know, you got retrogrades and eclipses and Saturn and Neptune going into your second house. So it's like, what do I have? What am I building? How is my self-esteem? What's going on with my money? And there is going to be this new goal to grow and acquire more, right? What that more is up to you. But because the North Node is ruled by Mars, and Mars is currently hanging out in your fifth house, it's about to come back into the retrograde. More love, more creativity, more joy, more opportunity, you know, to have fun. I think it's a wonderful time for Pisces and Pisces risings to be exploring investing, to be exploring learning about trading stocks or the market, to be thinking about home-based businesses and things that they can start. It could be design, interior design, property, home goods, you know, entertainment companies, side businesses and hustles that can start from just something creative that could turn into something bigger. But you're thinking about new ways that you can like provide for yourself and new ways that you can kind of build yourself up if you're coming up as the Queen of Pentacles. I would just say that with the Seven of Swords coming up with that, it's about not doubting yourself and not being like, no, I can't do it, or it's not going to work, or maybe now is not the time. Like there is this huge creative breakthrough that you're supposed to be having over the next 2 months with some of the retrogrades in your fifth, and feeling more romantic, feeling more inspired, feeling more like, yeah, you can create and like reinvent yourself also with some of the eclipses that are going to be coming up. So focus on investing in these things, in these creative hobbies. Focus on investing also in yourself and start thinking about all of the talent that you have and how you can be putting that to work, especially if you're working in Pisces related fields. Film, excuse me, film, photography, spiritual practices, healing, nonprofit, things that are about philanthropy, giving back, that kind of stuff. Design even. So these can be things that you can be kind of working on over the next couple of months that I think it could actually really benefit you and be very lucrative. Hopefully that's helpful. Sorry guys, to get my Stanley. All right, we have Talon, Stephanie, and then Katie. Losing my voice. All right, so let's see what Talon says. Wondering how my career will be going in this next year. All right, well, let's see how I can help you with that. I think they sent a message. Let's see. Did you, or am I remembering things wrong? Maybe not. All right, I saw that you sent your birthday, but I wasn't sure if you sent any more than that, so that's okay. All right, so let's take a look. There it is. Scorpio Sun, Leo Rising, Libra Moon. Leo Rising, Scorpio Sun. You're going through like an inverse of what the other reading was kind of going through with Sandy. All right, let's take a look. So how will the career go for the next year? Well, hopefully good, because we have the same birthday. We're both 11/11s. So let's take a look and see what these cards say for you in the next year. In this order. Wow. Page of Swords, Ace of Wands, and the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. So just kind of thinking about your astrology. I mean, Scorpio Suns, I think you're going to do very well in this next year with Saturn, you know, trining some of their placements, and also with the nodes being in friendly aspects. Really, the big thing for Leo risings is that you're still dealing with some Mars-Pluto opposition. So it's more like relationship stuff, or trying to figure out how to bring in clients or how to bring people in who are interested in what you're doing. And you've got Uranus doing some stuff in your 10th house still. These cards are really good, okay? So I don't know what it is you do for work, but the Page of Swords is saying that there's like a new cycle or a new phase that's beginning. It can be new skills you're acquiring or developing. It can be that you're starting to think more about media, that you're starting to think more about writing, blogging, sharing, teaching, bringing something out into the world, and that, yeah, it's some new initiation that you're taking. For Leos, I think about, you know, for you guys, how there's a bunch of planets that are going to be going into your 9th house, which is going to play very well with your sun, moon, or rising. I guess in your case, your rising. I think about how this is going to be requiring you to either be publishing something, traveling, teaching, working with a teacher or a mentor. Like there's going to be travel, like there's going to be a bunch of stuff that's going to be happening that's going to give you more freedom. Automotive industry, I got laid off and I've been hopeful to go back. So a lot of that I think is going to be connected to Uranus. Uranus will go direct, I think, the end of January. I want to say it's like the 30th, right after the new moon. that can be a good time for you to be going back to work. But these cards seem to indicate there's some new opportunity coming for you. And I wonder with Saturn and Neptune if you're like, oh, I'm going to be relocating to another location. I'm going to be going and doing some training that's going to be in this industry that's going to give me like the upper hand to be able to get hired. But the pages can be about like learning something new. It can be also about training or teaching in some way. Then you have the Ace of Wands, which is saying like this is likely coming for you in the spring. Exciting new beginnings, new opportunities. This is also going to be giving you some excitement. So it's some opportunity maybe to travel or explore, new avenues in your career. This can also indicate that it's going to be very action-packed. So it's not like you're sitting around for something to happen. It's going to be like, there's an opportunity, or I can do this, or I can do this. And like things are going to come in very quickly for you. I do think that also the Ace of Wands does talk about like the fire signs. So when planets are going into Aries or when planets are going into Leo, that's when you're going to see the most opportunity. And the Wheel of Fortune very much connects to the 9th house. It's a Jupiter, kind of sign. This is or kind of card. This is about you going, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take a risk. And that could be applying for something maybe that's further away, or for a job that is a little bit more advanced than what you're used to doing. It could mean that you want to take a chance and you want to go and explore other careers. But whatever it is, this new opportunity that's going to come, like if you're willing to be brave and step either into a new branch of the industry that you're experienced in, or to be looking for something that's further away, it's going to pay off. This is one of the best combinations, in my opinion, that you can get. It's like if you're setting an intention, speaking it out loud, writing it, burning it, manifesting it, it just poof, it'll appear. Let's see. So I thought about school too. If the job didn't work out, you may be able to find something that will hire you and train you, by the way, because the retrograde is connected to your 10th house in the spring. So Venus, which rules your 10th house, will go retrograde in your 9th into your 8th. So I would be going and looking at jobs that are going to pay you to relocate. I'd be going and looking at jobs that are going to pay to put you through some kind of training. And it can still be an automotive, but they might say, well, you have to, move to the city, or you have to be willing to travel to the city, or we're going to send you to these seminars. You're going to have to go to these workshops, or you're going to go through X amount of weeks of training before you start on the job. Those are the kinds of things you want to be looking for, because not only will you make more money with the North Node going through your 8th house, but you will also find that it's going to fund relocations and school and other things. And you're going to have opportunities to kind of be able to do both. And you'll get a break when Uranus goes into Gemini. You'll be finding that you're working and connecting and collaborating with new people. So be looking for some of these job opportunities that might be a little bit further away, and look for some of the stuff to really start kind of kicking up when planets are getting into fire signs in the spring. I like the idea of school with the page coming up. I think that's really great. So many of my Leo risings are like, I'm traveling alone, I'm going back to school, like they're doing certain things that they would have never done before, and they're doing it independently. And like, you guys are really going to thrive if you're willing to do that stuff. Hopefully that's helpful. You'll have to report back. Only an Acre says helpful, spot on. So many options, photography, creative ventures, and investing. Cool. Thank you. I love this deck. This is one of my favorite decks. I love it so much that I'm like, they're going to stop printing it. So I'm like hoarding. I have like 5 or 6 of them. I'm not even kidding you. If you guys saw my tarot boxes, I have like probably 60 decks of cards. It's like crazy. I need to thin them out and like get rid of some of them. All right. So we've got, let's see. We've got Stephanie, Katie, and then I'm going to pronounce your name correctly so I don't botch it, because for some reason, this is the one name that I have such a hard time saying. I hate it when people mispronounce my name. I think that's really what that comes from. Let me see. Because it happens quite often. Let's see, where was that? Kadeja. All right, so let's talk to Stephanie and Katie and Kadeja. You guys are on deck. Hey, Candace, I'm looking to move to a particular building in the next 2 months. The rent is starting to rise, so I want to move fast. Can you please check the cards and see if it'll happen in this time frame, or if I will have to wait? You're welcome. All right, let's take a look. All right, Stephanie, this is for you. Will she move in the next 2 months? In this order. Ooh, good changes. All right, so we got the World card, the Death card, and the Nine of Cups. Remind me, Gemini rising, right? You have the Pisces moon in the 10th. Is that correct? Also with Saturn transiting your moon, if I remember correctly. I think, okay, so this is like my astrologer cap. This is not the tarot cards, but part of me feels inclined to tell you that if you're interested in rentals right around the time of these retrogrades, let's say, you know, as you're getting into the end of February, going into March, if some of those units are sitting vacant, because Saturn will be conjunct your moon, and they can't rent them, even though the prices are going up, they may actually drop the price, just according to your astrology. That's just, I swear. Just so you know. So it's worth kind of thinking about. Don't feel like you have to jump in on it now. The World card is saying, like, you'll have the opportunity, you'll be able to proceed forward. This is the yes, you pass, go, you collect $200 card. Like, so if you're asking me, will I be able to move? Will I get it? Yes, you can do that. It's totally doable. The Death card is saying there's going to be a change, or there's going to be some kind of shift, and it's going to benefit you. So even though you're like, oh, the prices are going up, I actually kind of feel like, look, you could go, you could get in there, you could lock something in, you could move if that's what you want to do. But I actually feel like there can be some kind of shift that can be happening in March, you know, with these retrogrades, where literally a manager, as Mercury and Venus and Saturn are conjunct your moon, retrograding, there could be a manager that calls you back and goes, hey, are you still interested? We're willing to give you, you know, $200 off rent. Something like that. Okay, so Libra rising. So it's going to be in this moon. Okay, your moon's in the 6th. That's what it was. So you're going to have the retrogrades over your moon. So that basically means that you need to be making sure that if you do move into a place, it doesn't have any problems. Is it new? A particular building in the next 2 months, the rent is starting to rise, so I want to move fast. You can move if you want to move, but be very mindful that when planets retrograde over Saturn, you can move into a place that have problems or it's still needing to be updated. The other thing is you could inquire and you could say to them, I'm interested in moving in. What are your prices? You go and you suss it out. You decide if you want to sign up for a lease. If not, you could say, look, give me a call if you guys have other things that are going to be opening up in the building. You know, I would be interested. And somebody still with the retrograde over your moon would come back to you and say, are you interested in living here? Do you still want to stay here? Do you want us to come in and, you know, we can fix something up, we can paint something? Or they may say to you, something is going to be ready soon. You know, we're replacing the tiles, we're replacing the carpet, we're painting the walls. And they would be telling you that they're working on something, but it's going to be available soon. The cards, though, are saying, yeah. The World card is saying you can move. The Death card is saying there's going to be some changes to the plan, or there may be some changes that benefit you in the process, and like this will be a good change for you to move. And then the Nine of Cups is also one of my green light cards. You're going to get what you want. Usually if somebody says, is this going to happen, or, you know, should I do this, and I get the Nine of Cups, or if I get the World card, it's always a yes. You should do it. But watch for the opportunity. The Death card is saying somebody may, you know, decide that they're breaking a lease, and then suddenly something becomes available and they're like, hey, you know, we don't want to have a break in the rent. Would you like to move in? It hasn't been up. It's a newish building that has been updated in the last 5 years. So moving is going to be fine. I think the change is going to be good for you. I do feel like the Death card is saying that the changes, though, are going to benefit you. So whether that's the upgrades they made, or if they end up having somebody fall out on a potential lease, or if somebody is suddenly moving out, like you may actually get a deal when it comes to moving in. I wouldn't worry too much about the money. Like, yeah, the rents are going up, but I actually don't think it's actually going to be like that for you, or you're going to be able to get in there and you're going to be able to get a deal. So moving would be good. I don't know when you're hoping to do that. You say when you want to do it in the next 2 months. I really recommend doing it before March. Trying to move in the middle of a Venus retrograde on top of your Saturn means that you'll move into a place and you're going to be like, there's problems with the door, the faucet is leaking, this is broken. So when you go into the house, if you do end up signing a lease, you need to do a full walkthrough. Make sure you open and close all the doors. Make sure you check all the faucets. Maybe you look under the sink. Make sure that everything is working. So that way you're not getting in there and then your Mercury Venus retrograde is like, oh my God, there's so many problems with this place and now it has to be fixed. Even if it's a newer building, trust me, that will happen with your astrology. So definitely try to move before the end of February. Hopefully that's helpful. Keep me updated. Let me know what happens with the move. I don't think you necessarily have to wait. And having some of the full moon and Cancer vibes is going to be you taking the initiative to move pretty soon. So we've got Katie who says, wondering what's going on regarding feeling absolutely blocked in love no matter what. It is stifled and stopped. I know to trust the timing, but I'm curious about the energy currently. All right, let's take a look. So what's going on with Katie feeling blocked in love? She's trying to trust the timing, but she wants to know what is going on with this energy currently. Well, man, 4 of Cups, 5 of Cups. There's been a lot of that recently. The card that I get for you is the 5 of Cups. So when I teach this card, I always talk about looking in the background, not just looking at the woman. So you can see like her demeanor. She's kind of sad. She's kind of mopey. There is a sense of her kind of reflecting and like kind of feeling stuck or disappointed or depressed. At her feet, there is 3 cups that are spilled. So it's like, what's going on? Relationships don't work. Nothing is happening. Everything kind of gets messed up. Nothing is really going my way. But in the background, there's another 2 cups, which is promising another potential relationship that is nearby, something that has yet to come in or something that you have yet to see. Sometimes it's a relationship of somebody who's already around, but you haven't recognized or realized there's potential. Sometimes it can represent that a relationship is trying to find its way to you, but it's trying to get you to pull yourself out of the past. Ironically, this is the card for 2025. This is 45. So if we reminisce and get stuck too much on what hasn't happened and we become so attached to the identity of this is the way that it's always going to be, it's never going to be working, it's always going to be like this, then we get stuck there and we can't move forward. What comes up with this as a confirmation card is the 5 of Pentacles, which is like literally feeling like you're piss poor in the love department, or that you don't have any love to give, or there isn't enough love, out there for you, or that you're not worthy, or that you're not lovable, or you're not good enough. And I'm seeing this a lot from Scorpio risings, Taurus suns. There's a lot of kind of feeling like, well, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. And if you're a later degree Scorpio rising, you can still have Saturn and Neptune in your 4th. So that can also make you feel a little bit kind of lost and kind of isolated and lonely and like hard to kind of break out of your private life and meet other people. I still maintain what I said, that Scorpio risings will probably fare the best of most of the rising signs during these eclipses and retrogrades that are coming up, because it's going to be taking place in your 5th house. However, the Mercury Venus retrograde will start in your 6th and it's going to go into your 5th. So I'm going to give you some tips. Getting active in an athletic environment. I know that sounds weird, but like single Scorpio risings, if they are going to a gym, working out with a group of people, if they're working with a trainer, if they are going to some kind of health club or health spa or something like that, they're more likely to meet someone. There's also this sense of making changes to your schedule, right? And making changes in regards to your career and how often you're working and where you're working. And that retrograde in the 5th house is like, look, you can't work yourself to death. You need to also have fun, or you need to, Saturn in the 5th, treat love like it's a responsibility. Saturn rules your 3rd. So meeting people locally, getting on an app, going out and hanging out with people after work, literally going to a bar with coworkers after work. I know that sounds silly, but Saturn rules, anything to do with your communications with your colleagues, and it's going to retrograde into the 5th. But with that 5 of Pentacles, 5 of Cups, if you're stuck in the past and you're kind of just really harboring those feelings, it's inhibiting you from being able to move forward. And if I had $1 for every single Scorpio rising who told me that they're like, I'm never going to find anybody, I'm miserable, I would not be doing readings on the internet right now because I've heard it from all of you guys. But there's going to be this really significant shift. But I'm wondering, like, what happened? Like, who hurt you? 5 of Cups is watch for looking at situations and being like, they're happy. Why didn't it work out for them? Why didn't it work out for me? If you're seeing any of that stuff coming up, or if you're agitated or angry that an ex moved on and they found someone, or if you're agitated and angry that some like super, trash person, got into a relationship and they're in love, like, do not put any energy towards that stuff. That is the kind of stuff that can come up with the Five of Cups, where it's like, everybody's happy but me. Why did they get that? Why didn't I get that? Once again, if you didn't hear the stream earlier today, Pisces energy is so whack. If you're asking for something specifically, it's going to give you the opposite. So my advice for Scorpio risings and Virgo risings, if you really want to find somebody, is I'm doing great on my own. I'm so happy by myself. I don't need to find anybody. I'm totally great. I'm going to be fine on my own. And really believe it. And then also be nice to yourself in the process, right? And this card is also saying, when you least expect it, with the Two of Cups behind you, when you turn the situation around, when it shifts around, there's going to be somebody who's going to be there. But I highly recommend going and joining a fitness club. Go and do like boxing classes. Go and do yoga classes. Go and do something athletic. If you're doing that in the spring, you'll make friends. You'll meet people. You'll connect with them. Or if your coworkers are saying, hey, let's go out. Let's go and get drinks after work. You go, right? And you meet people and you interact with people, because that'll open the door for you being able to meet someone. But it's a pretty good transit for you. All right, hopefully that's helpful for you. Good luck. All right, so here we go. All right, so we are now, who else do we have here? All right, so Kadia. And then we're going to have Godzi and Lindy. All right, so for you, Miss Gates, what do I need to know about the upcoming months? I'm April 9th, 1990. All right, so you're an Aries. I think you have my chart info, but I'd like to know what I need to know to prepare myself for the upcoming months. Just started my new job. My boyfriend just went away for the next 4 months. So anything that comes out of the three, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, so you got a lot going on. You know that you've got all these planets that are going to be transiting your sign. I don't have your chart in front of me, but let me know what your rising and your sun sign is. So what do we need to know? Aquarius rising. Okay, so that's an easy way to navigate the Mars retrograde in opposition to Pluto. You've got somebody who's away. Better than a separation. All right, so what do we need to know? So she's prepared in this order. This is not a drill. Four of Cups. Four of Cups and Five of Cups have come up a lot. Five of Wands, Four of Cups, the Temperance card. Honestly, I mean, prepare for what's coming up. The Temperance card is about timing. And it's about letting things happen at the right time. So it sounds like you know that there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be kind of changing. Obviously knowing that, Saturn and Neptune are going to be going into your sun sign. But that is going to be, taking place in a part of your chart that's more about communication. It's more about learning. It might be about movement or short distance travel, that kind of stuff. So it's friendly. And what you're going to see is Uranus is going to move into Gemini. That's going to be kind of hanging out, making trines from your 9th house. Not from your 9th house, from your 5th house to your 1st house. So new hobbies will come in, new creative opportunities will come in, more excitement also when it comes to socializing and dating. And then you're going to see Pluto is going to be sextiling Saturn and Neptune. So it sounds pretty friendly for your chart, some of the transits that are going on. He's getting a stem transplant. Okay, well, I hope he's doing okay. But for you, Five of Wands, Four of Cups does make me feel like there is this energy where you could be burning yourself out a little bit. Five of Wands is about like running around doing things for other people, right? And it can also feel like no matter what you do, other people are giving you a hard time. Mars retrograde in the 7th house could mean that, you're feeling like other people are just short temper, agitated, kind of snappy, and maybe you're feeling like you're trying to change the way that you're responding to people, or you're trying to change the way that you're communicating with people, or you're trying to kind of be kind to them, but no matter what you do, you may not feel like you're getting the support or the positive feedback or the recognition that you need. And it can be hurtful, right? Then you get the Four of Cups. So it's saying like, man, I'm trying to be there to support people, but they can be kind of difficult to deal with. Like, do I need to take a step back, and do I need to kind of pause and reflect and like focus more on myself? So much about Saturn and Neptune and Aries is going to be about new boundaries for ourselves, and also becoming more self-aware and learning to better communicate and stand up for ourselves. Saturn is your traditional ruler. So with Pluto being in the first house of the self and the body, and then seeing Saturn and Neptune go into your third house, communication is going to become the most important thing. And it's going to be critical communication, rapid communication, self-defense, telling people what to do, not in a bossy way, but instructing people. My new job is in communications, 911 essentially. Hilarious. So literally, I mean, Aries is in the moment right now. Tell me what I need to do. So what a great example of being a crisis communicator. You're talking to people and answering the phone for 911. You got Pluto in your first, Saturn, Neptune in the third. I love your astrology. It's textbook, but in good ways. Like a lot of people would think like a Aquarius rising with Mars retrograde in the 7th is like, oh, I'm going through this terrible breakup. But she's like, my partner's away. He's going through this treatment, right? And Pluto in the first house, crisis. Saturn, Neptune in the third house, you know, difficulty communicating. Oh, I'm talking to people going through crisis. Perfect. I love it when I hear stuff like this because things are actually working in your favor. Maybe with the 5 of Wands and the 4 of Cups, you're realizing through the Mars retrograde that you can only support other people so much. And maybe you're learning to support them more with words and less showing up and burning yourself out and doing too much for them and running around for them and kind of feeling like, you know, you're the odd man out. The 4 of Cups does talk about really reevaluating and asking yourself, are you satisfied in situations? And I think that satisfaction can be a hard thing to find when we're under a Saturn-Neptune conjunction, because we realize that in order to get to what we want or to be able to commit to something more seriously, we have to make a sacrifice. So for some of you guys, it's going to be a personal sacrifice, a financial sacrifice. It's going to be a relationship sacrifice. And you're already kind of going through some of those. I think that the Temperance card is saying that it's really important to communicate your boundaries, take time for yourself, balance yourself out. You know, it can be really, really heavy having Pluto in the first house and Saturn and Neptune in your sun sign. Like to me, that's like, you can be exposed to too much overstimulation or too much work or drama. And then you're going to have to learn to like shut it off and tell people like, hey, I've been at work all day dealing with crisis. Like I need a moment, you know, give me a second to kind of take a step back and get back to you. So maybe it's going to be about communication boundaries and like letting people know when you've had too much or when you can or cannot be available, and really focusing on self-healing and self-awareness. I think with any Saturn-Neptune transit in the third, going for walks, going for bike rides, something athletic where you're moving, and listening to positive like inspirational speeches or motivational speakers, or listening to mantras or something like that can be really helpful for you. And it can also be helpful to kind of like keep you going and incentivize you to keep working on yourself and be more self-focused, especially while you have some time that you're going to be away from your partner and you're doing a job where you don't have to physically be around other people. Like you need more time for yourself, because one of my really good friends is an Aquarius rising. She's not into astrology, but she has Pluto right on her ascendant, and she has Saturn and Neptune coming up on her moon in her third. And she's just like, my whole life is just go, 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 go. If it's not, you know, my partner, it's my kid. If it's not my kid, it's my job. And I'm like, dude, you're going to burn out with some of the transits you're having if you're not like going for a walk, turning the world off, turning your phone off, you know, disconnecting, and then going and doing your own thing and then coming back. If you can do that, it's really going to help you. And I would also say journaling can be really helpful during this transit too. In everything I do need to let go and take care of myself. So Temperance is going to be about finding that kind of practice that's going to balance you out, right? And also it's about timing. So a lot of what's going on that feels like it's a lot of pressure right now, maybe it's going to be like this, you know, now and briefly again in April, and then things are going to kind of subside. But your chart will play very nicely with some of the aspects that are going to be happening. I think Uranus in your 5th house can be really fun. A lot of Aquarius risings are going to be like, I just want to have a good time. I want to go out. I want to party. You know, you're going to start a new hobby, or you're going to learn to kind of cut loose a little bit over the summer, and the summer could actually be really fun. So I hope that that's helpful for you, and you establish some kind of healthcare routine for yourself, some kind of self-help thing that you're doing, so that way you can kind of get a break from helping everybody else with your job. That sounds like a lot. I couldn't imagine being a 911 person, but well, sometimes I am. Sometimes I am. Not in the same way, but you get what I'm saying. All right, so we got Gazi and Lindy. You guys are next. What's up, Ripples? I heard my name before. So you're my last person, Tonga. I've got 1, 2, 3 before you, but we're getting close to yours. Happy New Year. Gemini, Sun and Moon, Leo rising. You're going to like this energy too. All right, so we've got G here. I'm currently looking to get a higher position and pay at my current company, but I'm keeping my options open and applying outside too. How is my career progress going to be in the upcoming 3 months? Will I get something in my current company or outside of the company? And you're a Leo rising. So you're going to want to watch when Uranus goes direct at the end of January, and you're also going to want to watch that full moon, because if you're a fixed sign rising, we're going to have a full moon in Taurus, okay? It's going to, a new moon in Taurus, and it's going to square Pluto, and it's going to square Mars. So likely that could be as late as the spring that there is a major turning point with your work, but let's see. Will they get something in the next 3 months in the current company or outside of the company? What does it look like? In this order. You might get both, as crazy as this sounds. You might get both. So good cards are coming up. You got some Pentacles here, which talks about financial changes and kind of offers and money opportunities. Knight of Pentacles is slow and steady wins the race. If you are patient and you are persistent, you will get what you want. This usually is an offer, so it can be somebody who's like, hey, we want to offer you the position, here's the salary, blah, blah, blah. And this can mean that it is something that's kind of coming as we're getting into the earthly months. Now, right now we're in Capricorn. So I would say Capricorn season, and then also maybe something as we're kind of going into Taurus season, which I would say that's the latest. I think it's the end of April, beginning of May. I can't remember the date of the new moon, but I know that it's at 7 degrees. It squares Mars, which is going to be in your ascendant, and it's going to square Pluto, which is going to be in your 7th house. Right? So that basically means that you're going to have a new opportunity, which is going to require you to cut away from one person and choose another. I think you're going to get 2 opportunities. Does that make sense to you? Like, do you get the impression that you would get a job offer, even though you're inquiring within your company to move up, and then you get an offer and you tell them, hey, I'm out of here, and then they try to get you to stay? Because that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting looking at these cards. So there's an offer, you're considering taking it. It's going to be a legitimate offer, not like we're entertaining it, like somebody who's like, do you want this? And then the 6 of Pentacles is them saying, hey, you know, we want you to come and work for us. You know, are you willing to work for us? And you go back to work and you're like, well, if nothing's available, you know, I think I'm going to leave, or I'm exploring other options. And they're like, hold on, wait, we'll work with you. 6 of Pentacles is that exchange. It's kind of like bargaining, or it's like, if we give you this, will you stay? You know, if we give you this, will this work? Will this make you happy? Or what if we move you into this department? And suddenly then you're going to see more movement with the company that you're working with. I would say play both sides. Play both sides, because it's going to work out best for you. The 6 of Wands is a card of victory. So this is saying, like, you're going to get what you want, but you have to ask yourself, what do you want? Is it just about money, or do you want to move up in your position? Do you want to have more opportunities? Do you want to be able to have more freedom? Do you want to be in a more of like a leadership role? What is it that you want? I have 2 positions that I applied for at my company, and I'm looking for something with better pay. So I can tell you that if you go looking for a job outside of your company, you're going to get an offer. That's what the cards are kind of suggesting. So you could get an offer from outside of your company. You come back and you're like, hey guys, I think I'm leaving. And then suddenly they're going to be like, okay, wait, what if you stay? We'll give you this. They may be more likely to put you in the position that you want, or they may be more willing to kind of bump up your salary. But I would still look outside of the company that you're with. You can apply for both of them, but you're going to find that something outside of the existing company, I think, is much more likely to give you what you want. But this is a leadership card, right? You see, like, the soldier, he's leading his, his squadron. He's carrying a flag, which is basically saying, hey, I've got a message. Somebody new is kind of, running things. It can be that there's an announcement that they're moving you to another position, or that they're announcing that they're electing you to kind of move there. Other people, other leaders are saying, hey, can we have her? You know, will they come and work with us? Look both places. I don't think it's just going to be in your current job, but even if you do get offered something, regardless of what you take, you're going to end up getting like a higher, not only a higher pay, but it's a higher status. You're going to get a higher status job, basically, which is going to help you kind of grow in your career. And I think it's going to be in something that's going to be more kind of team-oriented, leadership, managing a group of something. and it's going to go well. So definitely sometime either between now and May. And even if it's up until May, know that that's like the turning point. So you can keep looking until you find some kind of offer between now and then. Hopefully that's helpful. Come back and let me know when you get the job and which one you took. All right, so what's up, Diana? Next time, we're always here. It depends on what time zone you're in. We're always here at 6 o'clock Central, and we're usually here for about an hour or two. We always post the lives early too. So if you guys ever want to get a reading and you're like, I can't make it, when you see us post a live on Friday, you can send in your question and we'll make sure that we get your reading. But thank you. All right, so we got Lindy and then Sophia and then Tonga. So Lindy says, I started house hunting. Okay, let me say this again. I started house hunting, found one, put a deposit down, and signed my realtor's contact, but not the builder's. Someone else came in and their offer was accepted. The builder wasn't sure if their financing would go through. What is the potential on me getting this house? Oh boy. It sounds like the Mercury retrograde that happened in your 4th. So if you're a Virgo rising, your chart ruler went retrograde in the 4th. So there was some reworking or reversal of a home situation, and it was squaring Saturn. And then it's getting ready to square Neptune. So you're not going to have a lot of clear communication the next couple days. You'll have better communication when Mercury goes into Aquarius. Let's take a look. So you put the deposit down, somebody else got accepted, but they don't know if the financing will go through. So what's it looking like for Lindy with this home situation? In this order, there's that Knight of Pentacles again. 7 of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, the Empress. So here's the deal. They still have your money, right? Do they have it? Because the Knight of Pentacles kind of makes me feel like they may not retract your offer until they know whether or not that's fully going to go through. Usually the Knight of Pentacles is like, okay, we've accepted it, we've received it, we've got it, and okay, so you have it back. All right. But are you contractually obligated to still work with them? They give it back to you. Are you contractually still obligated to work with them if the other party falls through? Thinking about like Mercury going into your 6th, it's going to conjunct Pluto. And then the ruler, Mercury is going to go retrograde. I'm just trying to think of the aspects that it's going to make. You know, I have said I would be called if it falls through. Okay. Well, look, the final card is the Empress card, which is basically saying most likely it's going to fall through and you're going to have the opportunity to create something. The Empress is about giving birth to an idea or a child or building a house or developing something. So I'm wondering what the deal is. If you don't mind me asking, what's going on with house hunting? You bought a house, but is there going to be something that's going to have to be renovated or changed? You're talking about the builders. I'm trying to understand. I use their lender and I'm approved. Yeah, well, I don't think there's going to be any issues with you getting it. I'm confused with, are you planning on building on the property? Are you going to be renovating something? Or was this the other person who was planning on doing that? Because the 7 of Wands, this is a brand new house. Okay, so the 7 of Wands means stand your ground, wait, right? Like they know that you want it. Like in a way, this might mean that you're kind of feeling like protective of this house. Hey, I want this house, give me the house, you know? But just wait until you see what happens, because the 9 of Pentacles means that you're the more financial, capable, candidate when it comes to the two of you. And I'm not just saying that because they don't know if they're going to get chosen. You're the person who's already either got the funding or you've got the capability of being able to move forward. And I think there may be other problems. So usually if you get the Knight of Pentacles and if you're patient in a situation and you're waiting to get the job or you're waiting to purchase something or you're waiting to get the money, if you're patient, it usually comes your way. The Empress does make me feel like that this is also providing you with another opportunity. So just some food for thought. Like, do I think that you're going to get a call that things aren't going to work out? Yeah, probably. You may not get that call for a little while because other people's money deals with the 8th house. So when you start seeing Mercury go into shadow in Aries, let me give you a date here. That might be when you're hearing from them. Could it be sooner? Yes, it could be sooner, but it could be around the 3rd week of January that you hear back from them, or it could be that you're hearing around the, let's see, the very end of February, okay? One of those 2 times. So it's going to be the latter part of January, the latter part of February. When planets are going into shadow, that's when you're likely to hear something. But the Empress, for me, feels like this is a new opportunity. You might really want this house, and you might feel like, you know what, if you're waiting too long to hear back from them in regards to the financial situation with the other person, that you move on and you're house hunting and you're thinking about finding something else, you might find something better. 3 of Cups. So this is saying that there would be reason to celebrate finding something else. Tell them that you're interested in them calling you back. Tell them that you'd still be interested in working with them, especially since you have the funding. But I recommend to keep looking, because they're either going to come back and you're going to have some room for negotiating with them on the house, because they would already have one person that would fall through and they would want to be making a deal with you, and it may actually work out in your favor. But this talks about a 3rd situation, okay? So it's like moving on to another situation, like moving away from dealing with these 2 particular people, or you might find 2 other houses or something that you're going to be going back and forth on. It's possible that you look back and you go, well, thank God, you know, it didn't work out and we had this kind of situation that fell through because I found something that was perfect, and maybe it was a better price, or maybe it was going to have more of like an entertainment factor to the home. 3 of Cups can be like, oh, it's got a pool, or there's more space in a patio, or it's got a bigger living room. Like there's going to be something that you're going to feel like is going to be more ideal for your entertaining factor or for your family factor. I don't think you're doing yourself a disservice by actually continuing to look, because you might find something better, or it's going to be a situation where they're going to come back and it's going to benefit you, because then they're going to try to negotiate with you to come back into a contract with them. And you may have some negotiation room. But I do feel like you are more so likely to be working with them because of your financial situation. 9 of Pentacles is rewarded for waiting. Yeah, and just knowing what I know, I mean, Mercury and Venus retrograde in your 8th house, there is a potential, if it stretches into like February, March, you're going and looking at other houses, and then they call you back and go, yeah, we've hit a snag. Turns out we can't get them. We can't get the money. Are you still interested? It would even be better for you in terms of negotiations at that point. So I mean, I'm sure you want to buy the house and you want to move, but actually the later it gets into like February, March, the better it is going to be for you. Of course. Yeah, you will do better in the long run if this falls through. But I'm telling you, you still may find another house, as weird as that sounds, because the Empress is like, okay, I'm going to make lemonade. Like the situation isn't working, so I'm going to find something else. I'm curious. Let me know what happens. You're welcome. Okay, we got Sophia, and then we have Tonga. Sophia says, hi, I'm wondering how my relationship with a friend is going to play out in 25, and any general forecast for 25 for love. I have strong feelings for a friend, but he's still grieving a long-term relationship and finding his way again. We took a friendship break. We used to talk every day. We're planning on reuniting this year with new clarity. I'm a Libra rising, Cancer, Sun, Scorpio moon. Oh, man. Well, what can I say? Mars rules relationships, and Mars is retrograding in your 11th right now, which means you're taking a friendship break from somebody because they're literally going through some changes in their love life. And Mars rules your relationships, and in the 7th house in the spring, you're going to have an eclipse and a retrograde there. So that sounds about right. So let's see what's going to happen with you and this person. Is it looking like love with this person? Is there going to be something playing out in 2025? Oh, girl. So just some food for thought. I mean, the 3 of Cups coming up, the Queen of Pentacles, and the 8 of Swords. Like, do you feel like you were talking to him a lot about the relationship dynamics and like what was not necessarily working in his relationship? I always get kind of like iffy when I see the Three of Cups in a situation like this, because this does talk about three being a crowd. Like, he can't have both of you. And equally, as long as she's in the picture, you really shouldn't be in the picture. And that's not a judgment on my part. This is me saying energetically and for your well-being, that until he's really sorted that out and moved out of that relationship and healed it and like disconnected from that person, it's not a good idea to get involved. So I think it's really smart that you had like a bit of like a taking space in a friendship sense, because he needs to sort that out. The Three of Cups can be kind of messy. It can mean that there's mixed emotions and feelings, and he's got feelings for one person while he's in a relationship with another, and then he breaks up with one person, and then he's trying to figure out whether or not he's ready for a relationship. Like, that has been going on with the Three of Cups in the background. I do feel like in general, you know, as a general reading, this is saying you're going to have other options this year. If you want to date and you want to meet people, you'll have other options. And that can mean that you're entertaining people more in a detached, you know, kind of just dating friendly, you know, way, that you're not really committed and you're keeping things kind of light. And maybe you're doing that because you're waiting to see what happens with him. But I don't really see a huge emphasis or focus on seeking something serious with another person quite yet. Queen of Pentacles sits in the current, you know, the position in the center. And so I think about like being a Libra rising and Mars going retrograde over your sun is a lot of like back and forth that you're doing with another person, being like, okay, you know, like, are we going to be out there together or not? And if we're not going to be like out there together, then like I need to move on and focus on other things. I need to focus on work, my career, my reputation, my long-term relationship goals. And if you're not going to be a part of this kind of life that I'm building, you know, then you're going to be more assertive about some of that stuff, basically. So there's going to be some sense of you saying to him, like, you know, I can't hold space for you to talk about your issues or your feelings with her. I really don't want to be, you know, involved and be blurring the lines with our friendship unless you really know what you want. And I also want to be with somebody who wants to be all in. And, you know, and that's it, basically. Yeah, he's still pretty attached to her. We talked about it. She broke up with him in October 23. They have a shared asset, a property they co-own, and he's working on detaching that, which involves legal. So, you know, you'll still have a Mars-Pluto opposition in April. You're going to have an eclipse and a retrograde in the 7th house. I would say the warning for Libra risings next year is that with a solar eclipse in your 7th house ruled by Mars, which will be in your 10th, it means that for you to move forward in a relationship, a partner needs to make a significant change in regards to a home. Okay, so it's literally about a home situation. Then you'll have Venus and Mercury retrograde in the 7th, which means there's going to be some karmic things unfolding in relationships that you are very likely to leave one connection and go into another one. It also means that for most Libra risings, there's going to be like the sense of being blindsided by something in 2025. It's either going to be in the spring or it's going to be closer to June, July, where you're going to get blindsided and you're going to find out that your romantic partner or your love interest was doing things you didn't know. And I can say that because Mercury and Venus will retrograde side by side. Stuff's going to start coming up for you intuitively or in a dream. That's going to be showing you, or it could be a reading that's telling you that he may not be completely transparent about stuff. And then you also see Mars go through the South Node in your 12th house. And that's when you're going to find out that, yeah, there's something either going on where he was talking to somebody or he was friendlier with her than he admitted, or he was interacting with her. Be very, very careful next year with Saturn and Neptune and all these aspects that are making signs. Because really what the cards are saying is that if you don't stand your ground and if you don't have that sense of integrity and self-respect for yourself now and say, you know what, I'm not your therapist. I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'm focusing on where my life is going and my relationships are going. I want something that is like rock solid and real. I don't want to blur the lines anymore. The Eight of Swords is coming up saying you need to be very careful because you could be left in a situation where you're questioning and you're doubting yourself, or you're doubting the connection with him, or you're feeling kind of like isolated and alone. Like he could literally say, okay, I'm going to take care of all this and then we're going to reconnect, and then you reconnect and things are good for a while, but then you start to kind of see the cracks in the potential relationship, and it's because you did not draw that hard line. Draw the hard line with him and let him know that you're not going to be doing the back and forth. Even if he does end up selling the house and doing all that stuff, which I think he might with some of the transits that you're going to see this year, then what? Are there any other crutches or any other things or reasons for him to stay connected to her? You know, you want to make sure that he really closes that door basically before you move forward with him, and know that you'll have other opportunities this year as well. Although I think that there is part of you that will be kind of holding out and you're not really going to be seeking commitment because you're hoping that he's going to become available. You're welcome. Good luck. That's a difficult one. That's pretty on par with the astrology, my dear. All right, we got Tonga. What's up, Rosie? I'm sorry, but we actually already closed the readings. And I don't know how or if we can refund the super chat, so I might have to save your info for you to do a reading next week. All right, so Tonga says, Happy New Year. I'm in the process of packing up to move, and there's a perfect place I'm interested in. What are the energies around me and the home? Let's take a look. Let me know. Do you want me to do your reading for you next week? I can save that for you. Happy New Year. We have the Six of Wands, the Fool, and the Judgment card. I love that you have already decided that you're moving. Because, I mean, you know, I'm in the process of packing up to move and there's a perfect place. It's like, you already made the decision, you're moving, you know? Okay, Rosie, I'll save your info. Come back on Friday. I'll make a note of that right now before I forget. Rosie paid. All right, I won't forget. So you already made the decision, Tonga, that you're moving. You know, the Fool card is like, I'm out of here. Time to change. Time to go somewhere new. We're making this shift. The Judgment card says you made the decision, that you kind of were like, I'm moving and I know the perfect place is going to arrive, or I have an idea of where I want to be. And like, if something pops up, I want to have my stuff already ready to go, so that way I can just kind of find my out like immediately. Six of Wands is a card of victory. This is about being victorious. So if you're going for a place that you like, if you want to apply for it, you should, because it does look like it'll be something that you can get into. It should be pretty easy. Very welcoming. This is a card that's like, if you were to go back home, all of your friends would be like, hey, we're so happy to see you again, you know? Or if you go into the leasing office, they're like, we'd be happy to get you in here. When can you move? Like, it would be very accommodating, the whole process of getting you in there. And the Fool card is saying, like, take a chance, you know, move to a place that's not familiar, or move to a part of town that, you know, you really like, that you haven't gotten the chance to be in or explore. This is also about starting fresh. So it can mean that you're packing things up, but there can also be this sense of like downsizing, decluttering, simplifying, you know, making it easier for you to be able to move or move on the fly and go and do something brand new. I mean, this is also about taking a chance. So I'm wondering where it is that you're moving to, if it's going to be local or if it's going to be somewhere further away. I do think it's an adventure. It does seem like it's going to be about exploring a new space. It's going to also be about the excitement of having a new place to be living in and having a fresh start and being able to make it yours. The Judgment card is also saying that because you kind of put the cart before the horse and you were like, I'm moving, I'm packing up, and I know something's going to show up, you're going to be rewarded for that. So because you already made that decision and that choice, then you're going to be seeing that things are going to align and make it possible for you to move. Personally, I mean, girl, you could be out of here in the next 6 weeks. I mean, Six of Wands is a very quick moving card. It does allow you to kind of quickly get on the path of where you want to go. And I feel like there's going to be lots of new social opportunities for you after you move. Like, I feel like there's going to be friendly neighbors. There's going to be people who you're going to connect to in some of your kind of like local shops and hangouts and other things. And I feel like this has been a decision that's been a long time coming, and maybe you've been, you know, resistant, or maybe you didn't trust that you were going to find something that you could afford or something that was going to be, you know, good for you or in a good area. And now you were like, it doesn't matter. I just know that I got to move. So it's appearing for you, and I do think it's going to be something that's going to work out. And I would look for something over, like I said, the better part of like the next 6 weeks. Usually when the Fool card comes up for the Judgment card for me, it's like, well, you already decided to take the risk, so you know you're going to get the reward. So good on you for being able to kind of get out of the living situation that you were in, or maybe you just know that your time was up there. But I think this is going to be a good move, and go and connect with the people who might be like renting the space. Go talk to them, or go to a leasing office, or meet with a landlord. But it looks like the whole process can be very accommodating. Hopefully that was helpful for you, Tonga, if you stayed that long. So we'll be here next week. You guys can catch me here on Sunday. I'm going to do the astro weather. We've got horoscopes up for the month of January if you guys haven't seen them. We also have my pre-recorded astro webinar for the Astrology of 2025. So that is available for sale on my website. You can book a New Year's reading, or you can learn how to read tarot with me with my Tarot 101 course. For all that and more, check out my website in the description below at beyondtheveiledtarot.com, or you guys can follow me on BTV Astro on X. I'm always on there chatting about stuff. Big thank you to everybody who came out today and spent their Friday with me. I'm wishing you guys a happy new year, a great weekend, and I will catch you back here on Sunday. Until next time, take care.